Welcome everyone to World Leader Summit once again. This is 2021, November 8th, and our World Leader Summit is happening from 5th of November to 9th of November. Today is day 4th, and we are live at the moment. We have our first speaker. She is Crystal. Crystal, welcome to World Leader Summit 2021.
Thank you very much, Rajat, for having me. Thank you for the invitation. Welcome. Good night, everyone. This is my name is Crystal. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. It is 9:30 here in Trinidad and Tobago, and hello to everyone around the world. I'm just going to share my screen with you all.
Sure.
And begin the presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So today I'll be speaking on the future of education with adequate humanitarian outreach. Now, what this simply means is that I'll be showing you what education can look like with the support of a humanitarian approach. Firstly, I'd like to begin with a story, right? So I had the pleasure of presenting at World Empathy Week a couple of weeks ago, and I had an amazing experience with the kids. What you're seeing here is a footage of my presentation during the week, and I presented on phonics and fun. My good friend, Mr. Gavin McCormick, united over 300 volunteering teachers to dedicate 1 hour of their time for an entire week to present to the kids. The ages of the kids that I presented to were between 4 to 6 years old. I was fascinated by their level of intelligence, respect, desire for learning. And during my session, some of the kids stopped and asked, "Miss, why are you just talking? Why are you not teaching us?" So this got me thinking. There's an intrinsic desire for kids to learn and thrive. They want to know and be a part of everything. Our job is to ensure that the kids have the opportunities required to do just that. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of NGOs and individuals out there that are doing amazing things in the world. When I say adequate humanitarian outreach, what I am referring to is what is currently being provided, more than what is currently being provided, sorry. So why is this topic important? For the year 2018, according to the United Nations, 260 million children were out of school, approximately 1/5 of the global population in that age group. In the year 2020, more than 91% of students worldwide were impacted due to COVID-19. By April 2020, close to 1.2 billion children and youths were out of school. And I'll just give you some statistics in terms of a Caribbean perspective, right? In some of the Caribbean islands, virtual classroom has been the avenue for teaching for more than a year. For others, there were intermittent periods of face-to-face schooling. Families struggled to obtain devices to ensure that their kids had the tools needed for the virtual world. What made the situation even worse were circumstances where there were more than 1 child per household, but only 1 device available. Some kids were being left behind. Corporate entities rallied around the governing bodies to provide for these kids. However, there was too much to be done in a short space of time. Infrastructures had to be installed, especially in the rural communities. Supplies were required and adaptations needed for the use of the online platform. Now, with this picture in mind, think of kids that did not have the support through the pandemic. Underprivileged homes, most of which contain 8 to 12 kids with ages between 3 to 18 years old. How could they have not been left behind? Sometimes there were 3 caretakers to a home on a rotational basis. How can these individuals provide the level of attention required by each child to ensure that no child is left behind? UNESCO 2020 quoted, "School closures left 7 million learners and over 90,000 teachers across 23 territories in the Caribbean sub-region grappling with the new reality of distance learning." To bring that closer to home, which is Trinidad and Tobago where I reside, the Ministry of Education reported that in 2021, approximately 230,000 students were affected by the prolonged interruption of in-school learning. Out of those 230,000 students, 37,000 could not afford devices. This equates to 16% of the student population. If you extrapolate that to the Caribbean sub-region, you will get 850,000 students who could not afford devices, which is 12% of the student population. Imagine what figure would be like if this was extrapolated to the 7 continents of the world. Some being more obviously affected than others. With this in mind, I would like to introduce you to Education Influence. It is a virtual platform that was developed in 2021 that links teachers who are influencing change. Now, these teachers are registered teachers. The aim of the platform is to revolutionize education across the globe. Each of the students on the platform is equipped with the knowledge and resources to spread high quality education worldwide. The snapshot that you see on the right of your screen are images of the teachers that are already on the platform. And what it is a network of teachers that are available to provide the resource of knowledge, their time, and their expertise in the areas. So how does the platform work? The platform consists of 7 heads of recruitment, each of which represent each continent of the world. These 7 heads of recruitment these 7 heads of recruitment are responsible for recruiting ambassadors or foot soldiers who would then be taking the devices and working with the government agencies to ensure the needs of the children are met. What's required to realize the benefits of the platform? So what's required is funding and support to maintain the backbone infrastructure of the platform. Funding to obtain and distribute devices for marginalized communities, and exposure so that more teachers can join the platform. Now, this topic is passionate to me because I have seen a lot of children go through the challenges of not having devices and not being able to obtain the required education needed to progress in life. I will just briefly go through the benefits of the platform from a local perspective, from a regional perspective, and from an international perspective. So locally in the Caribbean, the benefits of the platform would be to increase the socioeconomic status of the country, create more employment opportunities, and provide empowerment and overall morale of the society. Regionally, the platform will conform to the CARICOM Human Resource Development Strategy 2030. This will enable transformations that will affect the operations of schools, communities, and workplaces. Members of the platform will work at the micro level of the ecosystem approach, which you're seeing on your right-hand side. So basically, the members of the platform will work with students in the classrooms, they work with their siblings, work with their peers, and work with their families as well. And internationally, as we talk about sustainable development goals, number 4 being quality education for all, the platform would be able to, the members of the platform will work together to provide mentorship, guidance, and support. Now, I must reiterate that these members on the platform are voluntary members and they're willing to give their time, resources, and expertise to children, adolescents around the world who are struggling to obtain quality education. Now, it's just some of the facts from United Nations website. More than 200 children will be out of school by the year 2030. 60,000 of young people will be completing upper secondary education by the year 2030. 670 million youths worldwide lack basic mathematics and literacy skills. And half of the global illiterate population lives in South Asia and a quarter live in sub-Saharan Africa. No, these are just some of the figures taken from United Nations. There are lots more that we could have spoken about. But in essence, the message that has to be driven home is that there are resources that are available out there for people who would like to provide their time and effort to ensure that the quality education given to the rural and the quality education given to the rural is of our utmost standard. So in closing, I'd just like to reiterate that the platform provides equal opportunities amongst individuals, not just locally, regionally, or internationally. If we want to improve the standard of living throughout the global community, there must be a level playing field. This platform provides the avenue to narrow the gap between the first world and third world countries, thereby ensuring meaningful education systems throughout. And small things can make a big difference. So I'm calling on foundations such as UNICEF, governing agencies, and any individual that are willing to become a teacher, influencer, sponsor, and advocate for educational change. What you're seeing on the screen right now is a website for the Education Influence platform. You can also follow me on LinkedIn to get more information. This is my LinkedIn address here, or you can also send me an email. Thank you for your time. I'll now invite any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Could you please stop your, yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, yes, education is actually important. And of course, we all understand this. We haven't got any kind of question as of now yet. But yes, I have got a question. When you're talking about proper education, it cannot be done by one single person. So how you feel that you can create your own team?
The platform itself consists of 300 individuals that are willing to volunteer. So it's not one person that will be providing this change.
Yeah, but those are your, those are not your team. Those are your teachers. I'm talking about how you get your own team so that you can grow the company.
It's not my company. I'm just an advocate for the Education Influence platform because I believe in children education. Okay. So the platform actually belongs to Mr. Gavin McCormick.
Okay, so and you're representing him at the moment?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, Crystal. Doctor, if you have any question, please feel free to ask her. If not, we'll go to the next speaker.
Yeah, so Crystal, thank you so much for your presentation. I hope I'm audible. Right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so basically, across industries, it's not only education, but you take the entire gamut of industries.
Yes.
It is not competition, it is about collaboration, right? So, point well taken, right? You are actually trying to aggregate and build on your business. And this is what is the need, right? As things go virtual. So yes. I think, you are on the right track. So thank you so much. So it's not a question, it's just a compliment from my side.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I think this is the time we should move to our next speaker. I will request Crystal to put herself in the mute mode so that we can have our next speaker.
Thank you.
So please stay with us. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome our next speaker. Our next speaker is a doctorate, a person who is very, very profound and prominent in the marketing industry. Not only that, he has done multiple number of work in the corporate industry. Let me have the pleasure to welcome our good friend and our ambassador for World Leaders Summit in the Education Council, Dr. Subrata Chattopadhyay. Doctor is a professor at the moment in the University of Engineering and Management. Doctor, the stage is all yours. Please enlighten us with your knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, so greetings to all. It's really a pleasure and privilege to be on this forum of World Leaders Summit, representing my university, which is University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, and also a privilege to be an ambassador at World Leaders Summit, right? Thanks to Brother Rajat for giving me this opportunity. So the topic that I'm going to speak on is marketing dynamics in a virtual world. Can I please share my screen? Yeah. Yeah, is it visible? Okay, great. So, marketing as it is a dynamic subject. And, in 2021, what is happening, things are such that maybe, 2 years or 3 years or 5 years from now, things will be redundant. So I'll start with a small story. And, this is what happened with me Friday in the evening when I was returning home with my wife, who was actually, suffering from dengue. And, we had taken an Ola cab. And basically, when I return home from my father-in-law's place, right, I return after 10, right? The reason is that the fares drop at that point of time. Why? Because the demand is lower. And I don't book a cab in advance. Why? Because I have to pay, extra money for that. Right. So I'm just, touching on, different consumer perspectives from this small story. When I got into the cab, and as the, I always tend to, break in a conversation with, other people whom I come across. And I was talking to him, and he was telling me that today I started at 10 in the morning, and the income that I had, I was driving for Ola now, right? And yesterday I started at 1 in the afternoon. Yesterday I had more money. So let me check on with Uber, and that talks about gig economy and, the switch which happens from the bottom of the pyramid. So, you go to even the cab drivers, they understand the market dynamics. So immediately, as I was approaching my home, he switched on to Uber and he said, wow, it's now 2.5x, which means that I'll have much more money. And he said, you see, I stay, extreme south of Kolkata, and I've already given home as my location, and I'll get 2.5x. So the reason I told this story is that this is how, marketing has dynamically moved to touch the bottom of the pyramid. Now, the reason I formulated this topic is that there is a lot of opportunity for the unorganized sector. So unorganized sector, right, which we call India Uninc, so to say. And there is an excellent video which is available on YouTube. You can see of Professor Raghuraman, right, which talks about how this unorganized sector, this India Uninc per se, contributes to the GDP, and the GDP figures is around a whopping 54%. Okay, so basically what has happened is the customer experience mindset has changed a lot since COVID-19. So we have traumatized societies, right? The consumer trust, 71% say if they perceive that if the brand is putting profit over people, they will lose trust in the brand forever. Consumer spending has also changed, and the habits has changed from offline to online radically. 22% of the people say, and this is a Blake Morgan research which has been done, they say that they are experiencing anxiety from being confined to their house, and 19% worry about running out of money, 18 to 24 leading in money worries, and 32.4% at 65 plus, lowest being 10.3%. Also, employee expectations have changed dynamically. So 36% of those working from home said that they would like to continue to work from home after the pandemic is over. And there are companies which has actually adapted to the changing times. They are the ones that are surviving. And today, even the car manufacturers have arranged to book the cars and also arranged to deliver the cars, do the entire process online. So what is happening is there is a tectonic shift from offline to online. But the question is that, are we having an inclusive digital transformation? So that is what is the need of the hour, considering that 54% of the contribution to the GDP is from this unorganized sector. So this is what we have seen very recently with the Diwali sales and also the Big Bang online festive sale, right, which has actually moved very sharply, right, especially in 2021, wherein 1,25,000 crores of sales has been achieved. So which means that festive sales has picked up in a big way, and most of the sales are happening online, right? So what is the need of the hour? So basically, the modern marketing 2.0 framework is about collaboration, it is about co-creation, and the tools that are required is AI, analytics, AR, VR, and all that stuff. So there are different platforms which are there, and the outbound channels which actually contribute to a seamless execution of the marketing operations. And basically, what is happening, that big data for marketing and advertising is actually contributing to a true omni-channel experience for the customers. So what are the skill sets that is required for marketers today? So they need to understand the market, they need to understand digital data, have a lot of cultural sensitivity, business acumen, the changing mindset has to be there, the entrepreneurial spirit has to be there, and you cannot at any point of time be contented with what you are doing. So you have to be always on your toes. And let me tell you, even at the bottom of the pyramid, they do a lot of marketing research these days so as to sustain their business. So AI is coming up in a big way, and we have seen in our sessions, previous sessions, many speakers, they have harped on AI. So why is your organization interested in AI? So AI will allow us to obtain and sustain competitive advantage. This was the response from 84% of the people across a study which has been done for the respondents. AI will allow us to move into new businesses, new organizations using AI will enter into our market, that is 75%. Incumbent competitors will use AI, 69%. So you can see the figures and you can understand why and what for the relevance of artificial intelligence and analytics is coming up in a big way. And yesterday I was seeing an interesting social media post, which is that as the increase and dominance of artificial intelligence is happening, natural intelligence is going down, right? So jokes apart, this is how things are moving. And coming to virtual reality also, this is another research which says that the market will be accelerating at a growth of CAGR of 36%, right? Which shows the immense potential of virtual reality. And 65% of the growth will come from the APAC, the Asia Pacific region. Okay. And one of the key drivers of the market will be the affordable pricing and the location and the external environment which is conducive. So basically, what again is the need of the hour is personalization, customization. So 48% of the customers, they say that they'll spend more time when that experience is personalized. And this is what many online companies, as also startups, have understood the need of the hour, that they need to customize the products so as to understand that customers are different and you cannot generalize on your offerings. 90% of the marketers believe personalization is the future, and 75% of the customers get frustrated when they are not satisfied with what they actually wanted. So, as I was saying, customer centricity and understanding the customer's mind is the need of the hour. So, customer focused leadership has to come up in a big way. Every company needs to understand the changing dynamics of the customer mind. They need to design the experience. They need to empower the frontline and understand at every point of time what is going on in the customer's mind and meet their demands. And if they are not doing, then the customers will have a lot of other options to go to, and you lose your market share, you lose your positioning, you lose your TOMA, which is the top of the mind awareness. So you have to be customer centric. You need to understand your customer and read your customer minds, as the customers do think so. So basically, the audience feeling, the funnel and the content are all changing these days. So the audience feeling can be different. Like, I need to differentiate the homes I build from my competition, right? So awareness has to be there. Content, infographic, short videos, right, etc. has to be there. There has to be a lot of research and also comparison. So case studies, tech specs, reviews, demos, etc. are very important. Planning is very important. So, if you are buying new materials, right, are they easy to install? Are they, updated? Are they having the latest technology, right? So customers are ready to purchase after doing all these. And believe you me, all these do happen because the customers are spoiled for information and they can do all the comparison, all the planning, all the research, right? And the companies need to be agile so as to move ahead of the customers, so as to sustain in today's ever-changing business environment, right? So that's all, for my session. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing, and if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to take. Thank you so much once again, WLS and Rajat, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, WLS.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor. Yes, we have got the first question from social media. Alaya commented that, yes, today's world, customers need custom solution. What do you feel will be the future? We will get only ads in social media specific to us. How about the GDPR rule?
Okay, so, a lot of companies have already involved the customers in the co-creation process. So when you are doing co-creation with the customers, you are already taking in the insights of the customers. And, if you can do that on a mass scale, your company would be not only customer centric, but also you are, collaborating across levels. So you are not only collaborating with your channel partners, but at the same time, you are collaborating with your customers, and not only customers, I'll go one step ahead, your customers, that is your referrals. So you are creating a pool for that. So that's influencer marketing.
Yeah, but the question is actually regarding, when you send or display ad into anyone's mobile or maybe in PC, whenever they are surfing or browsing, in earlier time, there was no such law which gives consumers a flexibility to say that, hey, I don't want to see or watch these kind of ads into my mobile because this is really, really disturbing. And earlier, companies, I mean, a lot of MNCs, giants, I really don't want to name, they used to take user data and used to sell it. Taking data is fine until unless you are selling it to the third party. That used to happen. But after the new rule that happened in the Western world, nowadays, taking user data and after that selling it is not proper and viable. So probably the question is related to that. How exactly GDPR plays a vital role into marketing?
Yeah, so
You can't-
ethics is very important, right? If you need to sustain, you have to continue to be ethical and also customer centric. So you cannot, use the data which is given by customers for a different purpose. And if you're doing so, and if the customers do know, then it will actually affect the customer mind, and they may deter, and they may stop thinking about you. Why? Because there is a lot of alternatives which is available to the customers.
Great. I'll give you another different perspective before we get lot many other questions. At least in the countries which is developing countries, in shopping mall or probably in the mobile shop, or maybe when you're walking, somebody is saying that please fill up this form for me, you will get a free credit card. Or sometimes in shopping mall, when you're done with your shopping, they ask for your mobile phone number to input that into their system. Without knowing, we feel that that's okay, what's the harm in it? We usually give our phone number, we usually give our email ID, or probably some very personalized data. We don't feel that that's a personalized data. What happens when you give such data to a shopping mall system? That data goes in a different way. People who are doing probably telecalling on behalf of some company, they buy these data. Data is valuable than any other thing in the world, in today's world at least. And you start getting SMS, sometimes WhatsApp message, sometimes email if your mail is given over there, or if your phone number is shared, then people will call you without asking your permission, and they start selling you probably some either cards or probably some offer which is there from the market. This is one of the serious issue, at least in developing countries, because we don't have a system to protect private data of users. And what happens when you share your phone number and that number is connected with your banking account, you're actually opening up a vulnerability. Yes. So that's one of the critical things. And on that aspect, I know that you have done a couple of research on the same, and you have your own voice regarding the same. And this is pretty critical with respect to cybersecurity. And we in Virtual Infocom, we work on such kind of fraudulent activities as a development perspective, not of course on the legal perspective. We are not legal firm, we are on the development side. But I would love to have your opinion on the same. When such kind of data is being shared, how much vulnerable we are becoming, and from the perspective of marketing, what we can do. Should we ask for phone number, or how do we get in touch with a consumer? Should we ask for maybe their social media, not the account details, probably the social media handle, and then a marketing company will actually get back to them with the social media handle? That doesn't open up a lot of security issues. This is my question to you.
Yeah. So first of all, I'd say that your short-term gains is your long-term pains. So if you want a shortcut to your business and you want to adopt unethical practices and move your sales up, then it will actually sound hard on you in the long run. That's number one. Number two is that what is very important, as I was talking about customer centricity, as I was talking about co-creation, I was talking about collaboration, what is needed is to have a sustainable customer relationship and to gradually build on the relationship so that the customer understands the company understands the customers. And these days, it doesn't take too much of time, right? But it has to be a gradual process. See, in any system, if you want to have an external input which actually tries to move it faster, right? Many a times what happens is it loses its natural rhythm and goes haywire, and that actually brings spells doom for organizations. So it is time that organizations do understand and adopt ethical practices so that they also sustain along with the customer demand being catalyzed. So in a nutshell, that's all that I have to say as a reply.
Super. I think the same comment actually happened in social media, but he already addressed the same. So we'll be more than happy to have more questions. If you have any, we can always redirect it to Professor. I know that he is actually in his college at the moment and he has got classes to take, but he is giving his precious time. Not only that, guys, please feel free to connect with him. He is there in our social media handle as well. If you wish to connect him in his probably LinkedIn, please feel free to connect him. A great human being. Let me give you a small perspective how a personality like him usually supports ecosystem. There are students in his university. Few of them really don't have money to sustain themselves sometimes. Okay, they don't have money to move or probably go to university, have the classes, sometimes can't sustain. And Professor is such kind of personality who give money out of his pocket so that these students can actually grow and move without thinking that there will be a return. So the return for him is the happiness and the smile. He doesn't care. This is what we call as giving without strings. Subrata don't know that I know all these information, but I know almost everything about him, how he is trying to do things. So
that's how agile and analytics comes into play.
Now he's trying to do that on a different perspective, but believe me or not, if you're really looking for a great human being who is happy, ever smiling and willing to give back, please feel free to connect with him, or you can connect to us. We'll be more than happy to connect him with you because he's there in our education council and he is doing great work with us. We are working with a couple of universities out of India, and of course, very soon we'll have hackathon programs along with him. Feel free to connect back. And Dr. Subrata, please keep yourself mute at the moment. I will be calling our next speaker. So ladies and gentlemen, we have our next speaker at the moment, and he is another very near, dear friend of mine. We call each other brothers. So in the platform, which is a professional one, I'll be introducing Dr. Rajat Premanand Sharma. He's a Vice Chancellor into Delight SDG, and he's all in for SDG concepts. I'm not gonna give his entire details until unless it is required. I'll tell you the requirement perspective. Doctor is very active in social media, so feel free to connect with him as well. So Dr. Rajat Sharma is a leading SDG leader, a global brand chairperson of UNCCC, India's first person to pass his 100% grade in transforming the world by SDG, course supporting by SDSN, UN, UNESCO to SDG Academy. Doctor, welcome to World Leader Summit once again as a speaker.
Thank you very much, Rajat. This is a wonderful achievement that I have got as an ambassador in World Leader Summit. I'm thankful to all of your team. So this is a great thing going on. I'm really very much excited from the June month whenever I was selected as the ambassador of this World Leader Summit. So, how to achieve the sustainable development goal? This is the subject. So, I can tell that sustainable development goal is going to transform this world, which we have waiting from last 75 years, which is going to happen in next 9 years. So, sustainable development goal or the SDG. I am excited. I'm excited because this sustainable development goal have been in the making for 3 years now. World leaders have accepted them. We are in a new era. The sustainable development goals offer us the hope, the chance, the opportunity, the direction to achieve sustainable development goal in the coming generation. That is a great prospect and something very much needed. This lecture is going to give some idea on how to achieve the sustainable development goal. They are not going to be achieved overnight, as I will be describing. These are goal for a 15 year and 5 years already gone. So we have a next 10 years almost to complete this goal. Period from January 1st, 2016 through the end of 2030. But the objectives are very deep, very significant, very important. It is going to take those next 10 years to achieve them, and the lecture aim to give idea to all part of society, to government, to business, to university, to other segment of society on how to achieve the sustainable development goal. Well, let's go into it. The chapter 1, what are the sustainable development goals? I want you to get to know them. The idea of the SDG was launched in June 2012. That was a signal occasion. It was the 20th anniversary of the Earth Summit, sometimes called the Rio Earth Summit, because in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, world leaders got together to face the challenge for the first time, really of the new concept of sustainable development. Even that Rio Earth Summit was the 20th anniversary of the first time the world gathered to put together the challenge of development and environment back in Stockholm in 1972. Well, when the world leader in June 2012, it was not all good news. You might say 20th birthday party of the Rio Earth Summit, but really it was a way of somber occasion because the goal of the Rio Earth Summit had not been fulfilled. Major threat on climate change, on biodiversity, on fighting the spread of desert had not been properly implemented. But the conference, the representative of the 193 member states of the United Nations, did have one important positive example going for them, and that was the ongoing success of the Millennium Development Goal, MDG, which is before that SDG, which had been adopted at the beginning of the millennium, September 2000, and which were fighting global poverty. So what the world leaders said in 2012 was, we had promised to achieve sustainable development goal when we met in 1992, but we had not been successful. When we met in the year 2000 and we took the commitment to fight extreme poverty and adopted clear global goals for that. All the Millennium Development Goals, we had some progress. What we need to do is to bring the challenge of sustainable development to the world attention so that we focus on it. So that is the really is in our consciousness, and that was the origin of the idea of adopting sustainable development goal. What the government said, what should be placed by 2015, the end date of the Millennium Development Goal. So that's the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal, would be the successor to the 15-year period of the Sustainable Development Goal. That was the big question. Now the MDG focus on ending extreme poverty, and as you can see from this all the development, they have made some success in the MDG, where the rate of extreme poverty was more than 40% back in 1990. The rate of extreme poverty is well under 20% today. Probably around 15% of the population of the development countries. The extreme poverty rate has been cut by more than half, and its potential on its way down to zero by 2030. That was the target. There's the good news. There's the inspiration for the SDG. The SDG build on the Millennium Development Goal, but they do further. Because the Sustainable Development Goals, as their name says, are goals about achieving sustainable development. Now, what does that better concept mean? Sustainable Development Goal is a holistic framework that put together three basic pillars: economic development, including ending poverty; social inclusion, meaning bringing everybody along; gender equality, the right of minority group; reducing inequality in society; and environmental sustainability. And while the MDG were directed to the world poorest countries and to the poorest people to middle income countries, the Sustainable Development Goals are universal. Every country in the world, rich or poor, has a challenge of putting together in a holistic manner the economic, social, and environmental objects of society. Why do we need Sustainable Development Goals? That is the question. Because with all the economic growth that we have been achieving, and with the good news of reducing poverty in many places, we are not on track to achieve Sustainable Development Goal right now. Take a look at this scene from street clashes of young people and police all over the world. Their youth and unemployment, there are disaffected youth, their people complaining about the condition of high inequality and injustice in society. Social inclusion is not a reality. It is a dream, but it is definitely not the reality in many places in the world, including in my own country, India. And more than that, we are reminded by this famous picture of the planetary boundary, pointing to the challenge of climate changes, freshwater stress, loss of biodiversity, that we are in growing environmental catastrophe. So the goal of sustainable development are the purpose of the Sustainable Development Goal, holistic approach to economic development that count not only the economic growth and of course the overarching goal of ending extreme poverty, but combining that the social fairness and justice with inclusion for all, with everyone, environmental sustainability method. So the UN member state took 3 years of worldwide consultation and negotiation, and they have adopted now the SDG. That's a thrill, because what the world agree on, anything that big news when it agree on something as important as a specific time bound sustainable development set of objective. Wow, that's something that new we can really use. Now these are goals for the period from started from 2016 and up to 2030. They are universal. Every nation in the world should take them on the every city in the world. It's called upon specifically in a Sustainable Development Goal 11 to have an urban-based Sustainable Development Goal strategy. Well, here is a useful picture, the logo of the new 17 Sustainable Development Goals. You may aware, everyone is aware about the 17 goals and their icon. I thought 17 was a pretty big number, and that maybe we wouldn't be able to memorize them the same way that we could memorize the 8 Millennium Development Goal. But I can assure you, practice in front of a mirror, take a few minutes, you will know the 17th Sustainable Development Goal. Take a look of SDG 1, that's ending extreme poverty. SDG goal, ending hunger. SDG 3, universal health coverage for all the citizens, all the part of the world, rich and poor country, whoever. SDG 4, universal quality education throughout the lifetime, from early childhood development through primary and secondary school, through vocational and technical training, the tertiary education. While the goal embraces all dimensions of sustainable development, when you look through and memorize those 17 sustainable development goals, you will see goals for preserving ecosystem, for urban sustainability, for fighting climate change, for decent job, for all, for access to safe water and sanitization and modern energy service. In short, this is a comprehensive universal agenda. It's a big agenda. And while you are on the way to knowing the memorize all 17 of this sustainable development goal, you might find it helpful to use the shorthand that the UN member states are using. When they say that this is about prosperity, meaning economic development, it's about people, meaning social inclusion. It's about planet, meaning environmental sustainability. And they add in two of those keywords, they add in peace and partnership. And so if you think about those that help you to get the picture, now in our speech, our discussion, we are not going to be able to talk about each of this them in detail. Healthcare, education for all, environmental sustainability, and all of the other of 17 sustainable development goals. If you want, and I hope you do, add in depth view each of those subjects, I would kindly refer you to Age of Sustainable Development, to a textbook that I will present together with the online system by the same name. There you can find the detail, the background and the detailed information for each of these specific goals. This today discussion is about how to achieve the goal in the broad view. Well, we are on the new period, this new age of sustainable development goal. We are guided by the sustainable development goal, and the next our discussion is going to talk about how each nation and each city can adopt plan to achieve the sustainable development goal. So this is my view today about sustainable development goal. And thank you very much, Arijit. We can discuss. This is not a small matter. This is a huge document, huge, we can say many details is there. But today, as you know, my some region of behind my mother and all, so family region, I want to stop here, and then next you will give me the chance. I will explain all these things. Thank you, Arijit. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You actually finished way earlier than your session. The reason is I know the serious reason, and of course this is one of the serious issue. So Dr. Rajat is actually running a global movement wherein of course we are all supporting him, and I'm really blessed and happy that I'm in his entire ecosystem as one of the warrior and one of the board member in his SDG policy.
Thank you.
If we are talking about SDG, exactly, Sustainable Development Goal is not a small matter, which of course we all can understand this. I have few bit of questions for you, and probably then I will ask you, because I understand that you have a emergency at home. And we are really happy that despite of that, you're joining and you're sharing your visions. It shows that how great leader you are. Okay, when we talk about actually the SDG, one of the important factor over here is education, and education always directly connected with poverty. There is a saying that you don't give fish to the people, rather teach them how to fish. Talking about the same, if we try to uplift the community on proper educational skill set, what is your future vision in next probably 1 or 2 years to uplift the below poverty line people so that they get education, they can understand how to earn by themselves and grow? Over to you.
Education is the main pillar. The skill development is very important. When we said that 80% of even the world population don't know about the sustainable development goal, their achievement, their target, and complete vision of the SDG. But as I study in the sustainable development goal, if there is no education, of lack of education, lack of skill development, then there is nothing. Economic power, even no poverty, no hunger, all are touched with the education, quality education. If there is no such a institution, no such a skill development center, which is the, we can say, the skill development center is our the basic fundamental place where we can sustain our economy, where the people are coming to have a skill, they are going to the market, they are earning. This is the ruling our economic system, which can be generate the money. We can say that can be run our earth system or social system. So without the university, without the skill development center, it is not possible to complete the sustainable development goal. Even one goal can also stuck if there is no proper education, no the changing in our education system. That is very important.
True. So with this note, I will actually stop your speaking session because you have to go. I know that. But talking about the same, of course, we have line of speakers will be coming, but we'll take a small break before they come. Dr. Rajat, will love to have a one-on-one session, especially for you, so that people can come and they can understand the kind of movement that you are doing. It's basically a global movement that you're doing, and there are people, they need to know why they should join it, what kind of pleasure that can be done, and of course, giving without string attached is the motto for SDG as always. With this note, thank you so much, Dr. Rajat, for coming here and sharing your beautiful insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, Crystal, we have an internal network. We'll connect you with Dr. Rajat for sure. Not a problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we'll go for a short break for 10 minutes and we'll come back at 8:20 a.m. Indian time. We'll have next round of speaker. Thank you, Rajat. We'll ask everybody to stay put with us. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Welcome. So ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome our next speaker. We had a small gap in between both the speakers because our earlier speaker wanted to go fast. There is an emergency in his family. His mother is not that well, and that's one of the sole reason he wanted to have the session pretty bit earlier. So we are running a little bit of earlier. I'm sure that you're going to enjoy our next speaker. Our next speaker is logging from Thailand. Her name is Anisha. Anisha, World Leaders Summit is welcoming you to our 4th day. World Leaders Summit is happening from 5th to 9th of November from approximate 138 speakers from 100 plus countries at the moment. And we are getting many questions from our social media handles. We'll be more than happy to have you in our next speaking session. So the platform is yours. Please enlighten us with your knowledge and wisdom.
Thank you so much, Rajat. You know, I'm sure we've all heard this saying that build it and they will come. And I have to say, and I think a lot of people will agree that, you know, whoever made up that saying definitely was not doing marketing or trying to advertise for their business in this generation, because it's completely changed, right? With everything that's going on in the world, you know, with all the tools, with all the social media, everyone is vying to get, you know, their customers or their target market's attention. If you don't do something about your marketing or advertising, there's maybe a 0.0001 chance that people will find you. It's almost impossible. Imagine sitting on your, you know, on your couch, just looking through your phone and scrolling through. You know, sometimes you feel like you're getting attacked, right? So many things. The problem is when you are a company or a business or you have a product, especially entrepreneurs starting out, you know, you have this product that is absolutely amazing. The problem is, how are you going to get people to actually see it and understand it? And sometimes people go straight, right? They start spending money, they start investing, they start putting in all this energy. But the problem is, you're not getting the results that you want. Yeah. And being in this industry, I have been in this industry now since, you know, early 2000s, right? Now you're going to know my age, right? I've been in this industry now for almost 20 years. The thing that I've discovered is, you know, from day one, when I started off in this industry, marketing and advertising was very simple. There was public relations, there was activations, which were events or booths, right? Or you had actual advertising, you know, that you would take on different locations, right? Or you would do an interview in maybe a magazine. Very simple. Today, there's about 1,000 different tools. Now, if you're a business owner, you know, you're looking up in the clouds completely confused as to where to start. Who are you talking to? You know, you have to find somebody who can write copy. What is it supposed to look like? Which tools do you use? It feels like you're being completely bogged down. Yeah. So, you know, what I'm going to talk about today, this talk is basically for you if you've invested, you know, dollars in your marketing and advertising, if you're trying to communicate to your ideal customers, but nothing is coming through or not coming through as much as you want. You know, if you want to generate more leads and you just don't know how, and literally just feeling overwhelmed, right? In getting the targets that you need. Now, what you're about to discover is one little adjustment you can make in your marketing that will make everything fall into place much, much quicker. Yeah. Second is the one thing you need to do to be ahead of your customer, to know exactly which way they're going to walk and be ready to receive them when they get there. And the third thing is knowing how to get the most out of your existing customers. People don't realize that sometimes this is a gold mine because they don't know what to do with it. So let's start at the first thing. The one thing is, when you're a business owner, I'm sure most people here, you can think about it in your own mind. If today I asked you how many people, if you had a choice, how many people would you want to sell to? I'm sure the number in your mind is absolutely infinite. Infinite, right? You want to market to this group, but you're afraid you're going to miss this group. Then you want to advertise to this group, but what about this group? What about this group? You're constantly thinking about the fact that you don't want to lose out on anybody. But in doing that, sometimes when you're marketing to everybody, you end up marketing to nobody because your message isn't hitting anybody straight in the heart because you're generalizing. So the first problem that I see, and the biggest mistake that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, a lot of people who are starting out in marketing is they don't pick ideal markets that are the most lucrative for their business. I'm not saying you don't market to everybody. I'm not saying you should market to one group and not market to the other group. But today, if you have limited funds, which, trust me, my clients range from, just small groups of entrepreneurs starting out to multinational companies. Everybody has a budget. Nobody's unlimited. The question is that you have to ask yourself in your mind is, who are those most lucrative groups? Now, when you think of that, you might not have an answer. Let me change that question for you. The next question you should ask that would hit home more is, who would value from your product more than any other group? Right? There are people who would get the most out of your product more than other people. Who are those people? Research actually shows that out of 100 people that you could market to, only 3 people are ready to buy. 3%. That means 97% of your money is literally going down the river. If I asked you today to throw your money into the river, would you do it? Probably not, right? I wouldn't either, especially right now when business is this way, right? So I'd like you to really think about who is it that really gets the most value out of what you have to offer. This is the first question, yeah? And if you have extra budget, or if you're looking to move forward a little bit faster, come up with 3 to 5 groups that really, get the most value out of your product. Then think about the next step. You remember I told you that research shows that 3% of people are actually ready to buy? That same research also shows that 10% of people may turn your direction later. So if you can manage to market to 10%, you might get a little bit of present value now, which is probably where you should focus more, and get future value also. Okay, so the first thing is to really think about that first, because every dollar you put out should have a return in investment that is clear and concise. And when you're doing this, my biggest insight that I can give you is be human. We might do marketing and advertising through a screen a lot, but on the other side of that screen is a human being with feelings and frustrations and wants and needs and desires. Social media is exactly that. It's social. It's where you're supposed to have a conversation. There's just a screen in the middle. So talk to people as if you were talking to them directly. That's why you have to be very specific with the groups you're talking to, so that the message that you convey can be very specific to those groups. And that way they will resonate and they will turn around and pay more attention to you than somebody who's just generalizing where they can't relate. Once you've taken care of the first problem, we will go to the second problem that I see a lot. The second problem that happens a lot, and this is another big mistake that I see in a lot of companies or with a lot of products, is people work one step at a time. For example, if you're doing a campaign to generate leads. A lot of times you're creating these campaigns just so you can get leads in, but your business cannot survive on leads. Those leads have to convert, right? So the key is to really think a step ahead and have a conversion funnel. This is the second key that I want to give you. Make sure that you have a conversion funnel that starts from attracting people to turning these people and engaging them and turning them into leads. Have a way to nurture those leads to turn them into customers. And then have a way to nurture these customers so that they keep coming back. And, which I will talk about next, how do you get them to talk about you? But I will get into this later. I have a very recent example, actually, of what happened to this, what happened with a client of mine not too long ago. I had this client that was shelling out thousands and thousands of dollars, and some months tens of thousands of dollars in social media and in advertising and marketing. They were getting in all these leads. There were two problems. One, their focus was leads. But do you remember the first point I made about be specific about their target groups? They were getting in a lot of people, but not all of them were ready to convert because they were advertising to too many groups. So their money was literally going down the river. Secondly, when they got these leads, they forgot to prepare for where to take them next. So they were all so excited. They looked at their marketing feedback and they said, wow, we're getting all these leads. We're doing so well. But their salespeople weren't prepared and practiced to get these people to convert. So, they were soft on the conversion. Now, when they were soft on the conversion, what would happen would be they would have all these leads. They had all these leads that were ready to buy, but their sales couldn't convert them. Now, think back carefully to when you were really attracted to something, but then you saw a website that was too difficult to buy from, or a salesperson that couldn't explain something to you, or just something that was too difficult and you found something that was easier. Did you switch? Obviously, you would switch to something easier, correct? So this company spent all this money and all this time and all this energy bringing in all these leads for another company to be able to sell, because they didn't have a proper conversion funnel ready. So this is key. The first one is be very specific as to who you want to talk to and who will be ready to buy. Pick the most lucrative groups. Second, have a conversion funnel ready. The third point is once you get these customers in, they already have experience with you, they already like you, right? How much do you spend in acquiring a customer? Some research actually shows that some companies spend as much as 70% more acquiring new customers than they do maintaining and sustaining the old ones. 70%. Now, research also shows that the people customers trust the least, the least, are people who come from your own company. Marketing people, salespeople, anybody who they might feel that are trying to sell to them, they trust them the least. But what they do trust is other customers. So actually, you have existing customers that have already bought from you and have good experience with you if you had a good conversion funnel and you took care of them well, right? Therefore, you actually have a gold mine and you have people who are ready and willing to talk about you if you engineer it, right? And ready and willing to buy from you again if your product is repurchasable. Now, engineering these steps is not that difficult. There are things such as reviews, ratings. There are things such as testimonials. There are things, which you can use in your marketing materials, in your sales materials, at different places that are eye point, right? And touch points for your customers. The key is to really understand that you have this gold mine and how to use them. If you know how to monetize and to work with your customers and create a win-win situation for them, I guarantee you that they will help you bring in more customers, whether it's directly or indirectly. Now, I've been talking now for about 15 minutes. Here's what we've covered. One, understand who your potential customers are, who are your most lucrative groups, and work on them first. Bring in the revenue first with your ideal customers, then slowly spread out, is my best recommendation. Then once you do that, make sure you have a conversion funnel that is ready for when you bring these people in, how you're going to actually hold their hand and take them through that funnel. It's all about the customer journey and customer experience. Experience is what brings people back. Experience is what gets people talking about you. So make sure that you're ready to hold their hand and be their friend and take them through. Because don't forget that in this day and age where everybody is so busy, once people are used to you and they're comfortable with you, it takes a lot of effort for people to switch. Give them a reason to stay. And once they stay with you, engineer a win-win situation where they will help advocate for you, refer customers for you, expand your network, and generate and multiply your revenue through the revenue and through the customers that you already have. Those are my main points. So the biggest problem now is, how do you take these three things and engineer them into your marketing and engineer them into your company and every touch point that meets the customer? I guarantee you that if you take a look at your company, you take a look at your product, you take a look at your customer experience, and you put these things in place, that you will be able to generate much more leads, much more revenue, okay? And happier customers who are happy to bring more and more in. That's all from me.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful insight. We have got first question from the social media. Someone commented, of course, I can take your name. That's a lady. She's asking, please explain how we can be human behind the screen. It's an interesting question.
Sure. So the key is this. The key is when you're communicating. Imagine this. I'm sure everybody here and the asker also has been on social media, right? And there are certain ads that are very general, like like just a photo of maybe like an Apple mouse that's there, right? Or let me use this example, like the iPhone, right? If today I don't know who my customers are, I don't know who I'm talking to, it's very difficult for me to be human and understand what they want and what they're feeling. For example, if I'm trying to sell my iPhone, and in my advertising, I write all these tech specs, but you as the buyer are somebody who likes to take photos and doesn't know anything about tech and just wants to take beautiful photos. I'm not understanding your view because I'm not doing my research and I'm not speaking to specific groups. So if today I wanted to sell to a person who loves taking photos because I have an amazing camera and I want to be human about it, being human is understanding and empathizing how the other person feels. Instead of writing all these tech specs, I would say, for the most beautiful photos for your social media, look at the difference of what this camera can make and have 2 photos up. I'm being human. I understand exactly what you want. You're using social media. You probably like taking photos. You probably like posting on social media. Everyone wants to look good, right? So I'm going to show you how my product can help you achieve looking better, feeling better by using the tools that you use every day to expose yourself out in public. I hope that, does that answer your question?
Well,
So
the reply is yes. So I believe
okay,
yes.
being human, just a little bit more on that. Being human really means empathizing with the person on the other side of the screen. And being able to empathize means you have to really know that what that person is feeling. Now, every group of client, every group of customers is different because they're coming from a different phase in life of what they need from your product. This is why you have to be specific.
Super. There is another small question. Somebody is asking why people want to do push selling.
Why people want to do push selling? I think it depends on the model. It depends on the model of the business. And you know, it really depends on what you engineer in your conversion path, right? Because sometimes it requires you to push sell in order to keep in mind. I'll give you an example. I have a client whose product is something where they sell once and the client might completely forget about it because it's once in a lifetime, right? But actually, once the client has stored this product, they can take it out and they can use it. Now, if this company is not constantly push selling, because it's not a necessity in people's lives, it's not a necessity, they're not going to think about it all the time. They have to constantly push, so there's usage in order to bring in more revenue. So you really have to look at your product and your service and your industry to see how your industry works. If you're trying to create if you're trying to use pull selling, whereas everybody else is using push selling, and that works more, then you have to look at what works for your industry and product more. Every industry and product is very different.
Super. So I'll share something interesting to you, which is probably a different kind of concept. Because we run angel bodies, because we have angel syndicates, we invest in companies, we actually uplift them, we run a business accelerator. We get many people who usually communicate with us, specifically me, in the social media. Now, in social media, what happens? I'll give you 2 different perspectives. What happens? Somebody probably applied or approached me in LinkedIn. Maybe he or she sent me a text asking for maybe some amount of money. You know what happens when you are asking money from some investor? I don't know you in person. And
Absolutely.
You have an icon, which she is mentioning. You have an icon instead of your own face. So from my perspective, you are not a human. Okay.
Absolutely.
And your details doesn't show or give me a comfort zone that this is actually a person in person. Number 1 case. Number 2, you're approaching me with a girl's account, asking that this is our pitch deck. And then when I try to communicate, there is a male who is trying to pitch to us. So the question from my side was like, somebody approached me that was a female and he said, that's my wife. I said, great. But in next 5-6 meetings, we never ever saw her. So who is this person? There was no answer. And that gives a negative impact. We never ever went back to them. I'll give you another test case. Somebody looks like a real human. Of course, I know that that's a human. She's a lady. She communicated me in LinkedIn. Again, I'm pretty bit active in LinkedIn rather than other social media. So in LinkedIn, she approached me for initial level of seed funding when her business was in the idea stage. So I asked her, okay, fine, let's have a meeting with my team. I always work with the team. I never ever work for any business without any kind of team. So then I say that let's have a meeting with our team itself. So our reply was, well, if you are willing to invest this much amount of money, then we can talk. Otherwise, it's no point. I said, okay, I thought probably we want to help you because we have an ecosystem, and you sent me multiple texts earlier. I'm so sorry. I'm giving you the reply now because I get almost 400 messages every day in LinkedIn. Humanly impossible to cross-check and verify everything and then get back to you. That's why I take a little bit of time, maybe within 3 to 4 days, I get back. But if you don't want any kind of hand-holding support, that's perfectly fine. The conversation never ever went to a good direction. So what happens, investor circle is a very close circle, right? So when you are coming to us and we have such kind of incident that you want to have a talk, if we say yes regarding your investment, wherein we don't know about your company, we don't know about your details, we don't know about your business, you have not started yet, this approach might not be a very good approach. So my question to you is, when we are talking about such kind of human behavior, I'm not taking many examples, to be very honest, because there are a lot of examples like this. When we are approaching like this, what will be your tips as a best practice for them to communicate with another person who don't even know you and probably accepted your LinkedIn or maybe Facebook request, and then communicate back? My second part of question would be, when I communicate and coordinate in LinkedIn, I expect a professional approach.
Absolutely.
I don't accept people in Facebook unless I know them in person. And there I'm a little bit of liberal, like I'm a little bit of, you can say, homely. I usually upload my normal traveling pictures, but not in LinkedIn. So your perspective, talking about few bit of social media, because there are many social media nowadays, have got different kind of approaches. Your inputs regarding the same. Two different approach, two different questions, please.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rajat, your question was, one is tips to approach people in LinkedIn, right? And the second was how to apply approaching people differently on different platforms. Is that correct? Okay. So the first thing, I mean, I smiled when you asked this question because I get those invitations and questions on LinkedIn a lot, because I'm personally an angel investor as well. So I completely understand which direction you're coming from. Yeah. The first thing is, when you're approaching people on LinkedIn, I completely agree with you. LinkedIn is a professional space. Look, social media is exactly that. It's social. So if today you're going to a professional networking event, how would you approach people? How would you talk to people? How would you introduce the next person in your team? It works the same way, but you have to do it even more through social media, because people cannot see what's going on in the background. It's like, you ever see those people who have a lot going on in their head, but they only communicate half of it and you don't know what actually is going on? It's like that, right? We've all met people like that, right? So, and it's not their fault, but the key is you have to be present. Now, my biggest tips in approaching somebody on LinkedIn is, 1, introduce yourself. 2, be personable. Especially when people cannot see you, you have to be even more personal about it at a professional level. Introduce yourself, edify yourself, tell them what you want from them, and don't forget to build rapport for yourself in that conversation. A lot of people are trying to connect with a lot of people. The higher the caliber somebody is, the more people are trying to approach them. The more they are careful who they add on to their network. Right? So 1, why are you going in? People are not just just to connect, right? They're going to connect for a reason. It's a networking platform. Introduce yourself. Secondly, why you want to be connected. Is something you want from them? Is it something you want to present to them? If it's something you want to present from them to them, tell them what they're going to get out of it, or why you think they are a perfect fit to be, to have a discussion with you. I'll give you an example. I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn randomly that have nothing to do with my profession and nothing to do with me. It's literally a copy and paste. You're laughing, right?
Because I get the same. I can understand. I can relate to you.
I think everyone gets it. And the biggest tip that I have, and sometimes I want to tell people, look, at least look at their profile before you send a message. It takes 3 seconds, but it makes your approach so different. And it shows that they have some sort of value when you're trying to approach them. You know, it feels like you're not giving the person you're trying to connect with any value when you're just cutting and pasting it. It has nothing to do with them. So if you're not giving them any value, why would they want to connect with you? It sounds harsh, right? But it's true. It's just like selling anything. You know, unless you give your product gives somebody some sort of value, they're not going to buy from you, because buying and selling is an exchange. And I always tell people who are marketing or who are doing advertising this or who are in sales, I do a lot of sales training for clients. You know, selling something is actually giving a solution to somebody else's problems. Unless you can create value from them, for them, it's a give and take, but you must give first. Right? So that would be answering your first question. Is introduce yourself, do some homework, build rapport, give them some value. Tell them why you want to talk to them. Listen, your time is valuable and so is theirs. Right? To answer your second question, sorry, that was a bit long, but I wanted to get my point across. To answer your second question, be aware who you're contacting on each platform. Each platform is different. There's 2 things I want to say about each platform that should be done differently. One, should you be connecting on this person in this platform?
Very important.
If you are professional and you're trying to contact somebody on a Facebook page, but you see that they've put outsiders on a limited profile, they probably don't want professional contacts on their Facebook. Don't make it an uncomfortable situation for both of you, right? And then you feel bad that they're not adding you. It's a personal space. They have a right, right? If it's open, it's different. Like, I'll give you an example. My Instagram is completely open. I put a lot of work stuff on there. Anybody can add me on there. If you want to contact me on LinkedIn or contact me on Instagram. If you want marketing insights, look at my Instagram. So you know right away that, okay, this person, if I want to follow them, Instagram's the place. If I want to contact them on something light, B2C, go to Instagram. B2B, you can contact me on LinkedIn. You can do business on both. Don't come to my Facebook, right? The second thing I want to say, if you're trying to market and advertise your business, make sure your content is different on different platforms too. How you communicate on LinkedIn, where it's a thought leader space and a B2B space, is very different from how you should be communicating on Facebook to people, where it's a B2C space, or on Instagram. You can put up long content in Facebook and LinkedIn written differently. But please understand the nature of people who go through, on Facebook and LinkedIn, it can be long format. But please understand that when you're on Instagram, people scroll very quickly. If it's long, if you have a lot of followers, once in a while, it's fine. But often, probably not the space. Right? So every social media has a nature of itself. Just like if you're showing up to a picnic and you're showing up to a professional network marketing event, you dress different, you speak different, you're still yourself, you're still personable, but the things you talk about are different. The way you tell the story is different. It's exactly the same. So back to my point, be human even through a screen. Think about where you are, think about how it compares to person, and use that as a directive. That would be my best advice to you, Arjit, to answer your question.
Yeah, so this is really, really important. And I wanted you to answer this for the sake of a lot of us who are probably trying to grab a deal. We all understand that in this COVID situation, getting a new deal is really important. Getting
Absolutely.
new customers are really important. We admire that. We all understand this. And the reason I'm asking Anisha this specific question, because while she was speaking out of experience. And experience always better than theoretical knowledge. That's what I personally believe. And when she was sharing such kind of insights from social media and talking about more on human, I felt personally that this is the kind of person who can actually give realistic approach to others. So this question, honestly speaking, Anisha, is not only for me, it's for all those people, all those you who are trying to grab a new deal, maybe a new consumer, maybe, I don't know, maybe a new investor, probably new business, probably new chamber of commerce to support you, help you. You need to understand how to put yourself in front of others. There are concepts which I firmly follow. This is completely personalized to me. I follow two different approach. One approach is there is a saying in the world that your first impression is last impression. I don't believe in that.
Absolutely.
It may happen that the person is under stress, doing a lot of variety of work. In the middle of that, he or she is picking your call, and his voice is different, or he's meeting you or she is meeting you. He's acting different. It's fine. If your first impression is not the best impression, it's perfectly fine. What I do, I always try to put myself who I am and be very honest. Being very honest.
I was just about to say that. Listen, sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to add on to what you were saying. One, I think first impressions count, but being honest and being personable is absolutely of the utmost importance. Sorry, Arjit, I didn't mean
No,
to.
it's fine. I wanted you to actually talk on the same because I'm getting the vibration. Sorry, I'm probably holding you and asking you too many of questions.
Oh no, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, but we are getting the exact kind of vibration. I'm blessed and happy that we are having a speaker like you and sharing the same insights. And I'm sure that all these audience and all the other ambassadors into our World Leaders Summit is going to probably appreciate that. Yes, we are getting love symbol as well from the panel. And just to give all the other audience and all the panelists a small perspective, World Leaders Summit is our mega summit, which we usually enjoy and celebrate every year. Usually the number of change makers, we don't call them as speakers. We usually bring people with a lot of filterization. We cross-check them, just like Ankita was sharing. I'm so sorry, Anisha was sharing that go for personalization. We actually check them and we understand if they can add a value to the ecosystem. So we run an ecosystem called WLS ecosystem. World Leaders Summit is actually the summit of that ecosystem. We have got around 35,000 business people inside that network. We run a very close group, of course, in our own network, of course, in our social media. And then we do the cross-border business, whether it is knowledge, whether it is technology, whether it is commodities, normal trading. In last 1 year during COVID, you won't imagine the number of businesses, deals that actually happened from our platform. And what we encourage people to come and share their insights into World Leaders Summit. And after that, we humbly request them, if they feel that they want to handshake with us, feel free to join us. And what we did, last year, we decided that we'll be doing a little bit of more, Anisha, and me and my partner. So I have two partners into this entire ecosystem that we created. So this is basically acting as A, as a angel body, B, as an ecosystem, C. Now we have our own space of accelerator. So we launched the accelerator very recently. There was a huge demand coming from our ecosystem, our members, and a lot of startups who are pitching to us. They're saying, please connect us with incubation centers, accelerators, etc. We did that, but then we felt, let's have our own corporate business acceleration program, which will not act as a university acceleration, but on a business perspective. So we collaborated with many corporate giants and companies who are mid-level companies, and they're offering their services, their network, their business needs. What happens when you are growing as a large company? You have a lot of business needs, right? And you need people to offload their work and grab their work so that that can be executed. And from the corporate perspective, they need a filtered people. They can't just go for Tom, Dick, and Harry. So what we did, we made that mechanism, created the entire system. We call it as a co-innovate venture. We never ever shouted about this in anywhere, in neither in space, neither in press, I'm so sorry, neither in any kind of social media. We wanted to make it available in World Leaders Summit. That was a surprise from us. And we did that. So we'll be more than happy and welcome anyone who want to add value, maybe from business perspective, maybe as mentor. We are actually offering equity from the startups to the mentors. And it's by policy, by nature of our business. We don't encourage people to come for free, work for free. No, they have their precious time. At the same time, startups should understand that if they are looking for someone to engage with them, probably on a weekly basis or probably on a monthly basis, they need to value their time. So that's what we have created, but this is not my time to share a lot about Co-Innovate Ventures, but I'll be giving a lot more, few bit of information and inputs. In our group, we have real estate developers, we have real estate sellers, and they requested, can we have our own platform where we can cross-sell and buy and sell properties. So we started Property Planeta as a portal. Feel free to add your properties, whether it is a home, whether it is probably an apartment, maybe a hotel, maybe a luxury car or yacht. We are not having any buyers from, you can say, flights, corporate jets. We don't have the buyers, but probably very soon, if we have buyers, feel free to add them as well. So we are coming up with our own education portal. We are coming up with our own NFT and arts buy and sell platform. These are all coming from the need basis. It's not that we're just floating it. There is a new need which is actually happening inside the network itself. And that's it. So as of now, that's it. So we'll be more than happy to have you if you feel that we can do
Amazing
together.
Yeah, I'm happy to join you on a lot of that. The acceleration program sounds amazing. I do some mentorship anyway, I mean, as I explained, I'm somewhat involved in the startup world anyway. So yeah, definitely that's something very, very interesting. That's very interesting. We should discuss that.
Super. Thank you so much. So I'll request you now to put yourself in a mute mode. Please stay with us, Anisha. We have our next speaker. And can you please unmute yourself, Raina? And probably you can come on the front side of the Zoom. Yes. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you very much, Arijit. That is seriously a very, very beautiful morning. I'm so happy and so grateful that you called me right before half an hour, 45 minutes to get to hear our lovely lady also. I really enjoyed every bit of whatever she shared. And as much as we say, learning happens not only by giving, but learning happens also by receiving. And I received everything what you shared with great gratitude. Thank you very much. Though I could not get your lovely name, it was ANP. AP, I loved you completely. So thank you, Arijit, and the beautiful platform of WLS.
Yeah, her name is Anisha. She's
Anisha.
Yeah.
Superb.
Yeah.
Anisha, you were really flawless. I think every bit of what you shared was beautiful. But I had one thing to share. I think the first moment me and Arijit met was on Instagram. And interestingly, I kept myself very professional, even on Instagram, I still remember, because some part of us actually showcases what is the kind of person we carry. And for me, it is very important that every person that I carry, I resonate with dignity, respect, and a lot of professionalism, because as much as I request that, I also like to give that. So I come back to the same point, and with that, I start sharing what I'm here for. Beautiful people expecting that all of you are hearing me. I'm going to be sharing on diversity and inclusion and coming together for equality. I think coming together is just a beginning. Keeping together in progress and working together is what we call success. And every institution, every organization that we see today is only a byproduct or an outcome of what they have in their people, in their knowledge, skills, and expertise, and about giving value to every human being, no matter what their differences are or what type of person that we see. So with that, I like to set the context of what we are sharing today. I am Dr. Rana Khatri Tandon. For all the lovely viewers out there, I am the CEO of Right to Rise, India's first and only ISO certified organization, which is ISO 21001-17024 accredited body, which works towards a sustainable space at all workplaces into Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act, the POSH, POXO, human rights, and a lot to do with D&I initiatives and stress-free workplaces. So like Rajat said, we are here on a very interesting journey of like-minded people globally, trying to understand how we can create these spaces. And I had this very interesting part of equality with D&I. A lot of people ask me most of the time, is it that if we give in an equality space, does D&I set in? And I tell them diversity is more like getting invited to a party, and inclusion is more like being asked to dance. Okay, you can be invited to a party today by everybody, but only if you participate or if you choose to become a part of that ecosystem, then you are either welcomed or you take an initiative of moving ahead and saying, yes, I'm that thought leader or I'm that impact maker, and I'm here to help you also be one among me. So being an organizational specialist, working with a lot of schools, colleges, and companies across, sometimes I find that even the inhibition of being coming forward and helping the people who can't becomes very difficult. Even if you're a great leader, sometimes you feel that leadership is always about just letting the people know what's right and what's wrong, or setting a strategy of this is what will work with you and this will not work with you. But that does not allow we as different associated individuals to come together and develop that productive space. We have a lot of teams today, and for everything that we do in our organization, whether we are into operations, into HR, into strategies, into marketing, into research, I'm sure each one of you will understand that this team has to be completely inclusive. And more organizations today, for example, around 79%, if I look at some statistics, being the national secretary at Government of India working towards diversity and inclusion into women and child rights, I have seen most of the organizations know what diversity and inclusion means. They know the meaning of what equity and equality means. The only difference they don't see is that this has to be practiced time and again, disciplined, and to be structured. There has to be some kind of a system to go back and check what's happening, what's not happening at each level or each strata. So it's not just the top-down approach, but every portion of your team. Are they looking at becoming non-judgmental leaders? Are they looking at becoming empathic leaders? And are they looking at being resilient leaders? These words have always been striking our brain, but we need to go in deep, friends. It's not just about the words, it's about putting in action. Today, we are to look at what is diversity, nothing but difference in each one of us to race, religion, culture, gender, and many other things. But the perspective still lies is that even though we are so diverse, we have to feel heard. And that's what comes in with the word inclusion. The outcome of a growth productive organization is only when you are sitting across a board of member team or a small team meeting and actually feeling that there is somebody who wants to speak up, but not able to, or not able to even put down their views. because not everybody is a spokesperson, or not everybody is going to come up and say, yes, I have a view to share. So even being sensitive that I have maybe a Mark and a Marco and a Mafuni and a Ravikant and a Crystal and a Arijit who are sitting across the table, and still I would love to hear what their opinion is, and they matter for me. And that's what makes it an inclusive organization. Now, there is one more important perspective that we need to know, and that's about equity. We can set an equality, we can have a lot of women force. When we say 79% of our organizations are D&I initiated, but the progress of how much is being put in action is only about 35%. There is one more aspect which I said is equity. That's promoting impartiality, justice in pay rises, distribution of resources, a lot of procedures and systems that are being created not only by the male folk, but also women who are trying to come up the ladder, very much supported by our men folk. Let's not make it sound very feminist, because I know that today, if any woman is standing up on that ladder and saying, I am the leader of my life, it's only because of an ecosystem which includes our men as well. So this is not about saying this is about a man or a woman issue. This is about coming up and saying, in spite of disparities, if we can understand each other, if we can bridge our gap, if we can still see that there is a talented person who's sitting across our board of directors and she can be heard and disparities can be removed, the growth becomes so much smoother and easier. Would you not agree if I say this is like a string of beads? We are always going to be unique. We are always going to be diverse. We're always going to be different, but yet it would be appealing only when these different beads come together as a chain, and the symmetry of these improper or inappropriately called yet becomes so beautiful and worthwhile, because that's what we are here for. 75% believe diversity is just a stated value. 32% agree diversity is a barrier when we have organizations growing. But when we do talent acquisition, even I think last month we were just running through Right to Rise and looking at the talent acquisition of the new people or the old people who have left. I think the most important thing we feel is bringing in a different gender also. Many a times we fail to realize that today we have about 52 genders and about 16 to 17 sexualities. Are we not looking at even they growing as a part of our ecosystem? Are we not looking at even welcoming them on a regular basis, hearing their opinions, getting what is right or wrong in our ecosystem, where youth power or the 22nd century is going to have all the young individuals coming up and sharing their best of ideas? And if we have to create this beautiful space, then intuitively we have to work on the key strategies of diversity and inclusion with a lot of equality to bring in a new world that we are looking out. Yes, there will be some biases, and some of them that I would like to share, which is picking up very much nowadays, is microaggressions. Though it might sound, we hear words like abuse, assault, pornography, and a lot of hacking through social media, just like we heard Mr. Arijit and Anisha also sharing. How do I create this safe space? How do I approach my clients and customers? How do I feel that this is a genuine person? And that's because we have so many things seeking, not only through other channels and other platforms, but we also need to realize that with the people who we know also, sometimes the communication is taking a different role. Microaggressions are everyday actions, behaviors, and some harmful effects which are communicated in the form of our words as a form of discrimination or something that is making our self-esteem low, in turn our mental health affected. 23% of HR have said that most of the D&I initiatives that have been taken are not fruitful only because of microaggressions, and 97% of diverse employees understand what is the terminology, what is diversity, what is inclusion, what is equity, what is abuse, what is harassment, what are the acts. Yet, they don't fall under Fortune 500 companies only because they are not taking care of the barriers. And the barriers are a sense of understanding of workforce, more care to be provided to your only resource. What is your best resource? It's not about business. It's not about marketing. It's not about sales. It's not going out and talking about how to manage your teams. It's not about middle management resistance. It's not about other things. It's only not about push and pull strategy, but your best resource is your attitude and your people. Good leaders can control their entire organization and drive it to a higher productivity level only when they take care of their attitude and of their people. Won't you agree with me there? Yes. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Marco and Arijit. So with this, I think I also want to leave you some food for thought. And that is, if you really want to be a diverse organization, if you really want to see your 2022 grow to more than what you have expected as a target or a goal that you have set, there'll be 6 traits that I see an inclusive leader to have, where equality and equity play a very important role. One is becoming a cognizant leader, removing the biases. Now, it's very easy said when we say remove biases, friends. As an individual, we already have some set biases and belief systems by birth or by our experiences that we come across with different kinds of people that we meet. But when we are sitting in this role of a growing or far-bound approach to our organization, we have to be a little more aware on how we react. Always be a curious learner. That will allow you to explore or welcome the different talents or the opinions that are given by your people. Sometimes it's even with the smallest person in your organization giving you a great food for thought, which is an amazing, unique idea. I'm sure you all would have gone through that some part of your journey. Cultural intelligence, never, never, never get bound by one kind of religion, class, creed, race. We are sometimes bound at regions, at least with Asian people, it's like that. But if I have to look at people across the globe, I'm sure all of us are sometimes bound on cultural boundaries. Secondly, take the risk sometimes as an inclusive leader to go ahead and implement new ideas and be collaborative, and commitment is what you always need, like a piece of cherry on the cake. So just like we just had Arijit coming forward and saying, we really need people who are the drivers. And when we drive different kinds of strategies in our organization, we need these kind of impact makers or champions who could come forward and tell us, this is what will work, this is what not will work. And of course, there is a lot of food underneath that. There is feedback, there is listening to them, there is hearing them out. There is a lot of surveys done. Anything based on data can be measurable. So always we stick on data and surveys, because every time you do a survey from the people, even if you don't get them to talk to you, I'm sure the survey in some form will yield you some efforts. So with this, I sum up what we spoke of. 6 elements to a beautiful, inclusive, diverse workspace where equality and equity sets in. Start with a broader definition, setting the foundation of what is diversity, what is inclusion, what is equity, what is equality. Get the framework right. Next, use your business objectives to first let them know what is the entire structure of your company look like. What is that people expect from you? What kind of visionary leader you are? Whether it is resilient, whether it's hearing them out, whether being there for them, caring for them, you are here to be a catalyst of change. If you want the D&I strategies to be implemented well with actionable things, then you have to lead from top, but every leader that's below you have to operate with the same vision and mission that you carry as a goal. Engage with every aspect of the organization, whether small or big. work on your data, get back on your feedback, listen to them, and implement the newer talent or the curious minds who are sometimes silenced out. And yes, training, communication, attitude is something which adds on the cherry on the cake. So yes, if you really want to retain or include people in your life, then you have to take these golden keys to associate, instill, get a sense of identity to them, educate and empower them. With this, I leave you with this one line. None of this is going to be easy. Hear me out loud and clear. None of this is going to happen easy. None of this is going to happen overnight. That's okay, because this is a long-term commitment that will not only have you higher innovation, greater growth, boost to your companies, higher employee retention, and great engagement with people for a lifetime. So diversity, equity, and inclusion will bring you great equality among your folk, and giving value to human is what is your prime importance, because we are always going to be different and diverse. But what makes us beautiful is that we are yet unique, but together if you want to make it happen. Thank you so much for hearing me out. Thank you, Arijit and WLS. It was a beautiful, beautiful platform to connect with such lovely people. Thank you, Mark, for your appreciations. I can see you on screen. Thank you so much for applauding as well. Thank you, Marco, Ravikant, Banani, and lovely Mavu, Nisa, Malega, with beautiful viewers on Facebook and all social media. If you ever get to listen and you have any queries, please do leave back your thoughts. I would love to learn from you and contribute in your journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark is saying that he's giving you thanks. He's saying much appreciated. We have a first question from the social media. I hope that we have time for Q&A
yes,
round.
Yes, please go ahead, Arjun.
You're right on time. I mean, amazing speaker, to be very honest. Okay. Do you feel in today's world, these visions are happening? How to filter data and go for knowledge?
How to?
Sorry.
Yeah, not an issue. Can I get your question again, Arjun?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Do you feel in today's world, these visions are happening? How to filter data and go for knowledge?
Okay. So I will not talk for the entire world because that's too much to talk about. But yes, I can talk to you about certain organizations that we cater to. When we are doing a data survey, you have to do your data survey through different strata of people. Again, like we say, it's not one fit for all. So when you even channelize and get your systems in place, provide solutions to the problems, then you have to structure them into different buckets. So when you get your data, look at what is that people want to convey. Where is that they are unable to break the ice? When we say people don't speak up, it's not easy to say, I don't speak up for some reason, but the same thing will not be for Ravikant or Marco or Arijit or Mark. They would have a different reason. So if I have to bucket out solutions, the solutions will not be again one fit for all. So your data, your feedback, your opinions have to be done time and again. What I'm trying to say is it has to be systematically done, whether you do it fortnightly, whether you do it once in 6 months, whether you are doing it. And this is not a one-man's journey. Okay, it's not that it's only you. Like I said, this has to be working at different levels. Even your team, even the people who you cater to as clients and vendors, there are many companies who are investing a lot into D&I initiatives. Why they do that and the productivity that they have in the last 3 to 6 months is extremely high. So I'm sure some of them have their own apps. I'm sure some of them have their own portals. I'm sure some of them have their own gender champions or their own D&I initiative or small innovative sessions like trainings and in systems that are being created. We at Right to Rise, yes, cater to clients by providing them different kinds of sessions. Like there could be something where we talk about code of conduct. There could be something that we're talking about equity. There could be sometimes even a break the ice session where we just want people to speak up and get to know what kind of culture, what kind of attitude, what is the way or approach over a situation that is given to them. How do they brainstorm and come back as solutions when they are put into some kind of stress? So you have to create those kind of case studies and then tell them maybe what do they feel when, how are they going to come out of that situation. Maybe that approach will allow you to understand where they are unable to come up to their leaders or to their peers and speak out. So I'm sure, like I said, it's a journey way up. It's going to take you some time to even understand, but facilitate communication, always manage work group processes. Do not leave them only to the organization leaders. Today, as an organization leader, I never feel that only the people below me are supposed to do these initiatives. I take an extra time and effort to give them a call sometimes, or to even go to their desk and ask them how do they feel of working with me or with our organization. So sometimes you have to diversify. I'm not saying diversify, but I'm saying diversify into your goals and go beyond your professional credibility to create these kind of impactful people who will go over and educate and empower like a chain. And believe me, this strong form of engagement will never let you down, because you have taken time to listen to them, to walk the talk with them, to hear them out and understand that it's not only my ownership, and it's sometimes okay if I make mistakes, if they find certain kind of loopholes and they say this is not working with me, then you need to restructure your strategies, your hacks, and get them to better support, so that these activities will then become somewhere easy for people to know you and you know them, and they also come back with their feedback. So that's nothing but care, taking care of your own employees and being there for them, with them. We say be there for the people, by the people. And I would say your organization only is built with people. The other things can always be bought, but trust cannot be bought. So build that and work on it. The rest will follow. You don't have to worry on the growth.
Raina, the
Yep.
same lady is making another comment
Yes.
after you are sharing your insights. In today's world, it's not possible to understand what they want. Probably she is meaning the general people.
The people, yeah.
Yeah. Watching from their social media, to be very honest, your takes on this.
Okay, social media is very, very indecisive. Okay, I never go on social media, because social media is like a jungle where some of us only go there for likes and dislikes sometimes, but that's not our real us. Like we had the situation of how do we understand a person even today when we are on virtual medium? I would say only communication helps. Even if you speak to the person for 10 minutes, you would understand what kind of personality he has and what is his approach to life over different things. I'll give you an example. There is this aunt of mine who stays very close, okay? And she generally calls only when there is some kind of work. And during the festivities or some functions only she calls. Otherwise, it's always WhatsApp. So she invited over for a function and she did it on WhatsApp. So I replied back, yes, I'm coming on the WhatsApp. So when we physically met on the event, her complaint was that she couldn't pick up the phone and even talk to me. And I said, I just reciprocated what you said. And she also made a comment, oh, I see you so much on social media, spending so much time contributing to the people who are there on LinkedIn and Facebook. But why are we not connecting on call? And I said, I extremely follow what you taught me because you're my elderly person. Okay. So there are two kinds of people. One, who do exactly what you do because they feel that you're comfortable with it. They know you, they see you, and they do exactly what you do. Another, who go beyond and do more for you when they feel that, yes, this person really matters in my life and he's adding a lot of value, right? So social media can be very, very, I can see a person physically and that person can be very different when he's at an event, but when he's on social media is very flashy. Sometimes he puts lame jokes, sometimes he's very funny, but that does not define whether he's professional or not professional. That depends on his mood and the situation that he wishes to share with the folk. And I have seen the most professional people who are there also going and sharing their personal photos on LinkedIn. Now it is up to me whether I draw a conclusion of that or I just allow the person to be himself and say, that's fine. I mean, for him, it's fine to share his family photograph and say, I feel good about sharing the journey I had during the Diwali or during the meditation or during the vacation or something. He feels good to share it with his professional partners. But if I have to go back and start judging him on that, then that's my attitude and not that person's attitude. So like I said, it's all about you, my lovely friend. It's about how you respond to life and people and how you take it. Like Mr. Simon Sinek always says, you can only control your response. Event plus response gives you an outcome. You can only control your response. You cannot control the event, you cannot control the outcome, or you cannot control how people behave. If somebody is not responding, communicating, replying to any of the initiatives or your communication, the least you can say is, I would like to have a word with you. Let's maybe discuss it on the table and see if we can come out with some kind of an outcome. Have the discussion as a neutral person without alligating him on what he's been seen physically or on social media. Like I said, I don't believe on any of the likes. I think I get on every post, I get around 1,500 likes or 1,500 comments. But that doesn't define that I have 1,500 people who are that close to me. I would have limited people who are maybe a handful who are very, very close to me, and I share maybe every small bit with them because they carry that kind of a rapport with me and I trust them completely. So choose your tribe well, and with the people who you really want you to go or you want to walk the path with them, then you have to spend that additive time, additive energy, sit down on the table, understand what is their expectations and meet them with yours. If something is not working, we can't keep on saying that's not working because that's working with others. So there is something right or wrong that you're doing. That has to be corrected. Again, that's another journey of communicating. Something is not working with me, I would go to Arijit or I'll go to Mark and say, look, this is not working with me. I don't know why. I've been trying different things. And we already know examples of great leaders like Mr. Alibaba CEO, and we've seen Jack Ma, we've seen all the Apple CEO. We've seen so many people across, even the Indian heroes. We've seen Mr. Modi and a lot of other people who time and again say, it's not about what people talk about me. It's not about what others think about me. If I start thinking about what people think about me, what would people do? Let people talk, let people think, let people do. All I can do is to help them grow. So I need to go back and say, look, I see something is not working well with you and me. Tell me, how can I help you? Not tell them that, look, this is not working. I need you to do this. I need you to tell me, how can I help you? And hear them out. Maybe you will get some words which are unsaid, yet will give you a response to the next solution that you want to build.
Beautiful, super. So with this note, I will request Dr. Raina to mute herself and please stay back with us, and I'll be calling our next speaker.
Thank you so much.
We have 3 more questions, which is very short in our Twitter. We'll definitely give it to you.
Sure.
Let me welcome now our next speaker, Mark. Mark is from Sydney, Australia, and interesting fact, Mark, my partner's name is Marco. He is also here in this link. He is muted because he's in another meeting regarding all those kind of fundraising activities that we are doing for the startup, helping them. Coming back to Mr. Mark, Mark is a culture champion, and he is an experienced managing director and now a qualified professional motivational and leadership coach with a demonstrated history of working in leadership roles across the broad spectrum of industries over the past 28 years. My God.
It's probably more like 30 years now. I need to update my profile, Rajat.
Okay, in any way, it is more than 3 decades of experience. Welcome to World Leaders Summit 2021 once again.
Thank you so much.
Enlighten us.
Thank you so much. And I also just wanted to thank Dr. Raina for that wonderful insight. And I feel humbled to be the follow-on speaker after such a great speech yourself. I also would like to say, Rajat, thank you to you and Marco, and I'm sure there's a team of people in the background that have all been very hard at work putting such an amazing event together. Often speakers get invited to participate in such events, and I'm quite picky myself with these type of things. When I looked at the company I'm in, the people who I'm surrounded by, not only the speakers, but also people who've expressed interest in participating and listening, it was truly humbling for me. And it was a no-brainer to put my hand up and say, I would be delighted to be part of this. And thank you also to the sponsors. You know, without events, without sponsors, events like this can't take place. So truly a big thank you to everybody. So yes, and Rajat, you're correct. I have got experience across business for many years, actually. My accent is not Australian. Some of you have worked that out by now. I was born in Cape Town and raised in South Africa, and did my schooling in South Africa. I spent 12 years living in the UK, again in senior leadership roles, before moving across to Australia about 17 years ago. And again, always in leadership roles. So what actually got me to this position in my life, where I'm now a coach, I still run 3 businesses in addition to running On the Mark Coaching. On the Mark is a team of coaches in Africa, a team of coaches in Australia, and we'll be expanding that into 5 or 6 more countries in the coming years. So why am I sharing all this background news with you? Well, I'm sharing it with you because the world is continuously evolving. We know this, we're experiencing it. Whether we like it or not, change is a part of normality right now. Not everyone's comfortable with change, by the way. And the topic of this talk is not about change, but we're going to touch on change because it's today's talk. It really is all about what can leaders, accomplished leaders in business and accomplished leaders in sports learn from each other. All right. So if you were to imagine for a moment, just imagine yourself having recently participated at the Tokyo Olympics, or maybe you're playing cricket in the current T20 competition, or any sport that you feel passionate about, right? Imagine for a moment that you're on top of your game in that sport. You're either striving to become world champion, or maybe you've achieved that status of claiming the world championship. All right. So having gone through all of that experience in the lead up to the big event, then the event itself, and then how you feel after the event, that topic has really intrigued me for some time now, and more so about the leadership linked to that experience. And I'll give you an example. If you were that accomplished leader in sport and you were to not be on any training day or game day or anything like that, but you were invited into a business to give a talk to a team of leaders in the corporate world, what knowledge and experience that you've gained through your hard work, your dedication and commitment to your sporting achievements, could you pass on to the business leaders that they themselves could benefit from? Well, I'll put it to you another way. If you are a leader in business and you have a very successful company that you run, if you walked into the changing room and there was a team sport, it's either just before kickoff, or it's maybe an individual sport, you're just about to chat to someone who's about to run the 400 meters in the finals at Tokyo. As an accomplished leader in business, what tips and thoughts and ideas could you share with someone in the sports arena where there's some similarities between the two. So that's what we're going to take a deep dive into today, if that's all right with you, and maybe have a bit of fun with this exercise. I mean, imagine yourself for that moment in being top of your game in that sport that you never actually thought you'd ever be doing yourself. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of fun with this in a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some slides up on the screen, because I'd like to share with you a little bit more around what I'm referring to. And the best way for me to do that is by actually doing it by showing you. So just bear with me while I just load this, and then we'll get straight into it. So what accomplished leaders in sports and business can learn from each other? We'll start with a really basic one, okay? Together, everyone achieves more. That's the definition or the acronym for team. It's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up that counts. And never be afraid of failure, but of failing to try and try again. That is a famous quote by a legendary veteran golfer called Gary Player. Now, we all know that talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. And you'll see where we're going to with this in a moment. If you miss 100% of the opportunity, you always miss 100% of the opportunities you don't take. One of my favorite, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And when you think about quitting, think about why you started. Now, the best example for me is whether you're in sports or business, before this whole global pandemic hit, we had a set of goals that we were chasing. Then the pandemic hit, and in sports was cancelled, and businesses sent all their teams and staff home to work remotely, offices shut down. And when everything reopened up again, who reevaluated the goals? Who reevaluated, now that we've emerged in a different world, what do our goals look like? Are they still achievable? Are they realistic? Or are they attainable? So for me, I had a discussion recently with a CEO of one of Australia's biggest retail chains. To give you an idea, this company employs over 50,000 people. And the CEO epitomized everything to do with the very first point on the slide right now, which is humility, because he took my call. He doesn't know me, he didn't need to, but the humbleness of this human being was so strong that it was someone I knew I had to connect with to use as an example in this talk today. And he said to me, Mark, there are 4 H's that we as a leadership team in our business operate by. We have to have humility, because if we carry arrogances around with us, whether it's in business, and he said to me, by the way, or whether it's on the sports field, you're never going to realize your true potential, because your own arrogance will always hold you back. Your ego will be your biggest downfall. Helpfulness, that was an interesting one to come from a leader, a team leader of 50,000 people. Helpfulness, the more you help others, the more they will want to help others in return. And that is an infectious, real fact that happens, right? Happiness. It's very difficult to be nasty to someone in business or in sport if you're not happy within yourself. So happiness, and true happiness, as far as this leader is concerned, who I interviewed, is one of the core values that underpins the success of this particular company. And then we all know that without honesty, we don't have a business. And without honesty, we can't be high achievers in the sports arena either, because we have to be true to ourselves so that we can be honest in the world in which we engage in, right? So the other thing I learned in the correlation between sports and business is that we need to stop defending a lead. If you feel like you're winning and you're just slowing things down to wind the clock down, that's not really winning. You need to chase the outcome, because the person who gets to sniff at you slowing down will come after your market share, or come after your position if you're running a race or whatever it might be on the sports field. So the other thing that was pertinent was win, but not at all costs. This business of winning at all costs is a real 1980s, 1990s methodology. It's a thought process that win at all costs. And for some people, that may signify success. But in today's world, we've just heard Dr. before us, Rajat, talk about inclusion and equality. We don't have to win at all costs. We have to win by being our best, but doing it honorably is equally as important in business and in sport. So while sport is about winning, business is about growth, focus on the common areas between them. All right. I'm just going to exit the screen for a moment. Arijit, can you just let me know if what I was showing on the screen came through okay? Because everyone disappeared from the screen when I was sharing. So was that okay? I'm going to continue and hope that everyone can hear the segment, right?
100%. Please continue.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much.
I was just sorry to interrupt. I was just having a cup of juice because I didn't have breakfast. Okay. So sorry. That's the reason I'm mute and stop my video.
No problem. I'm going to continue sharing screen this way. Thank you.
If you want to go for a full screen, you can do that as well. It's like we can see all your slides.
Okay, that's good. So now, if we look at the mindset of a winner in business, right? We've just gone through the CEO of one of Australia's largest retail chains, and some of the things that I've written about recently in always empower your teams. Whether you're in sport, whether you're in business, empower your teams. People, you've employed them for a reason, or you've picked them in your team for a reason. Let them shine on the stage in which they're meant to shine. Very important that we share the vision. I cannot tell you, as a business coach, as a life coach, and as a sports psychology coach, going into team leaders and asking them, have you shared the vision with everyone? Does everyone know what success looks like? Does everyone know where the boat's going? Very few people below the senior leadership team actually know how to answer that. And inspiring your players and inspiring your team members is a part of building that momentum, which helps you lead through change. Very important that we embrace authenticity. There are so many leaders out there that are either not connected to their team, not aligned with their team, not aligned within themselves. And authenticity is so key in today's world of building and nurturing relationships. Listen and look for the opportunities. All too often, people feel that they're so close to the detail that they're working on, they don't take a step back and have a look around and spot the opportunity. You know, when we're talking about sport, whether it be netball, whether it be cricket, it doesn't matter what the sport is. Often the last few winning streaks are because an opportunity has been spotted. Same in business. But equally as important, demonstrate fairness, equality, that word equality is coming back in again, and selflessness. We have to ooze passion and enthusiasm, because that to me is the ingredient that drives our success. There's no margin for error when it comes to effective communication. Again, I cannot stress how many relationships in business break down because simple communication is not effectively done. And then leadership, leading with courage and knowledge. You know, we all know that we're exposed to those two very key points. And for me, this Japanese proverb underpins a lot of what we do as a business. Vision without action is just a daydream. And action without vision is a complete nightmare, right? So then we flip it on its head and we say to ourselves, well, the mindset of a leader in sport, what would they have to say? So actually part of our team at On The Mark, we had a former Australian Wallaby test player, a rugby union player, who was part of our team in the early days when we first founded this business. And what we learned from him was so important. The key things that he would have gone into any business environment and said is, it's not just about game day. It's about what happens many, many months before game day. Then it's what happens on the day. Have you adapted to the environment, to the conditions? And then what happens after the game's done, whether you've come out a draw, a win, or a loss, It's the same in business. What happens after you've reached that milestone? The second point there, which is collaboration, that embracing that one team holistic approach is so important. And it says as a coach, but this is to any leader in business and sport. And clarity and alignment are key when it comes to achieving those goals and the milestones that take you to each one of those goals, and then the desired outcome. So what have we learned, and what's the plan B? We often say to ourselves, what's plan B? Is there a contingency for what happens when things don't go the way we thought? So now we walk into the changing room, and you could have a team that's feeling deflated. You could have a team that's feeling like there's nothing left in the tank. You may even have a team that's feeling like they just want to maybe give up even, because it might be too much. So the changing room pep talk is a super powerful thing. I do this in sports, more at junior leagues, where that youth age group, they're not quite used to dealing with winning or dealing with losing a game that they thought they were going to win. But actually the lessons that we do in these change room pep talks are no different to the messages that we deliver in boardrooms to teams of leaders as well. So that's our humility and belief underpins the character of the team. Now that's true in sport and it's true in business. The values define how we engage as a team against our competition. And by the way, sometimes we are our own competition as well, because we become our own barriers. We listen to the unwanted thoughts that generate in our minds. That creates lack of confidence. It creates all kinds of things that hold us back. However, our passion drives everything that we do. And you'll notice that. You'll see if you walk onto if you go to watch a sporting event, whether you see Usain Bolt's charisma, his passion, his humility, he'll go up to the people on the side, he'll go and he'll fist pump them, high five them, he'll stop to say hello, he'll make eye contact. It's the fastest 100 meters in the world, the fastest sprint in the world, yet he makes that time. He's like Djokovic would be, or Rahul Dravid, who's just been, I think he's been made the national coach for India in the cricket team. That humility gets you so much further than people give you credit for. Then at other box to the skill sets. Obviously, we've got skills, right? We've worked hard to nurture them and grow them and refine them. So those skills mean we play to our strengths and we continuously learn. Our ability to think outside the box helps us to grow into a champion team, not a team of champions. Too many times I go into businesses and I see really talented individuals working in silos. They're not working together as an unbelievably well-oiled machine. So try and think about how can you convert your team from being a team of champions to a champion team. And part of the way to get there is that your actions need to speak louder than your words, and your respect for each other and your competition needs to be really, really strong at all times. And that then gets solidly founded by your commitment, because your commitment helps to nurture the winning culture. So I often talk about this. I'm really going to whiz through this fairly quickly, but especially when you're looking at sports and business, we need to really build a strong, healthy trust fund. Trust standing for be truthful to yourself and those around you, be reliable to those around you, be uniform, which means your consistency needs to be really, really high. And safe means you need to be someone that somebody can go and you're a safe pair of hands. You can be confided in, you'll be a good listener, you'll be a good contributor. That's safe. And then trained. Training is that hard work you put into getting the results you're so desperately trying to achieve, either individually if you're a sports person by yourself or in a team environment. Often I get asked about competition. I think competition is a great thing. Without competition, you've got nothing to push you and drive you harder, and you've got very little to benchmark your level of success against. The business world and the sports world are both extremely competitive worlds to apply your skills in. So how you play today, how would you play today, or how would you engage in business today if you knew that you couldn't be in business or play tomorrow? So literally right now, today, I know it's morning time in India. I know I can see there's some people in Southern Africa on this call. If you woke up today, how would you give it your absolute best, knowing that tomorrow you weren't playing. So that literally means giving it your all. Okay, it's the way your mindset is approached for all things in business and sport. So the true achiever, by the way, is a doer, not a dreamer. The competition is there for a reason. They want to win as well, right? So it's really important. Confidence, by the way, is the only thing that has no competition. So what would that sports leader say to a room of business leaders? So they would probably come in, from the changing room, having won or lost the game, but having known all these amazing things about trying to be peak performance leaders. A good coach can change the game. A great coach can change a life. Isn't that what it's about? This life journey we're on. If you found your passion in life, whether it's in sports or business, having that great leadership that can change your life is far more meaningful than winning on the day, right? Same applies in business. Every single champion was once a contender that refused to give up. Excuses do not exist when it comes to great teams, because guess what, guys? It's raining on both sides of the field, right? Same as in business. The economic challenges that we faced with, the socio-economic challenges that we faced with, the micro and macroeconomic changes that we faced with. We're all dealt the same hand. It's how we play it. So excuses should not exist. I personally like to encourage people to embrace the GROW model. Very simply, it's about this. Do you even have a set of goals? Are they realistic? What are your options to try and get there? What are your obstacles that will prevent you from getting there? And what will you do to get there? Because you may have all of that mapped out from a sports position or from a business position, but unless you know what your goals are and that they're realistic and achievable, and what your options are and what you're prepared to do, unless you're prepared for those four things, it's going to be very difficult for you to be a high achiever in sports or in business. In fact, I've actually just contributed to this book called Winner's Mindset. It was ranking #1 on Amazon in 3 different categories. So I'm happy to send a link to anyone who'd like to learn more about that. But we literally collaborated with some of the world's most influential high-performance business leaders and high-performance sports leaders. And we came up and we wrote this book together. I think there's 35 chapters, and there's it was so humbling to see how sports and business collaborate together, and what they've got in common is actually truly remarkable. So if you ever want to have an insightful read, then that's certainly something that I would recommend to anybody. But the common traits for winning in business and sports, again, there has to be that alignment of goals. You have to know what success looks like. You have to evaluate where you are now on that journey versus where you need to be. And do you actually have what you need in order to compete? We take it for granted that we've got everything that we need to get there. But do we? Who's actually pausing, stopping to take stock of that? So are they realistic, and who's evaluating that? Very importantly, have you agreed on the behavioral norms? Quite often, I walk into organizations or onto the field to talk to teams of sports players, and the behavior that I see is unacceptable. It's not in line or in tune with creating a conducive environment for success to take place. So as leaders, we need to be really firm and assertive on what our expectations are and setting the bar for what is good behavior. And that includes the mindset and the externalization of behavior and thoughts. And then what happens after you win? All too often, we've trained for so long to achieve an outcome, and you reach the outcome, you win the final, you win the championship, and then what? The crowds go home, everyone goes, and every morning you've been training at 5 a.m. for this big event. Suddenly, then what? What's next afterwards? Same in business. The end of the financial year's happened. You've either achieved your goals or you haven't. What happens next? There needs to be a what next. You have to be asking yourself, as a leader in sports or business, what next? Or as I put it, and then what? And then what? Just keep asking, and then what? But you need to know when to recharge as well. There's a reason high performance athletes focus so much on recovery. In business, we tend not to. In business, we're looking at our phones at bedtime, the first thing in the morning, we're checking our emails. Where is the off switch? Because that's the quickest way for burnout to happen. So if the elite sports professional walks into the boardroom and says, why are you guys still working here at 8 o'clock at night? That's not a badge of honor to wear with pride. It means you should be at home recharging your batteries. You should be spending time with family. You should be eating a healthy, well-balanced diet. You should be getting some rest. You should be having some downtime, because that, if you slow down a little bit, enables you to go faster. Expect the setbacks. And again, we've spoken about passion and enthusiasm. I call it mojo. Everyone calls it something different. But never give up. Really important, that one. So this is the last slide. It says, lead with humility, purpose, and passion. And folks, the time is now. The next lap, the next chapter of the book of your life hasn't been written yet. The race hasn't been run yet. So how you choose to run it is really, really up to you. It truly is down to you. And at this point, I'd like to take any questions that there might be. I've got you back on my screen again. I couldn't see you earlier.
Super. Yes, we have two questions at the moment from social media. Professor Frano, he's from Croatia. He's another speaker, of course, in later on, in later time actually, for today. He's asking, the only part of the universe we can change is ourselves. But what drives our changes, also in communication?
That is so true. And I feel often we listen to ourselves when we talk ourselves out of something, but actually we need to play devil's advocate within our own mind as well. And I'll give you an example. If our body's natural senses are warning us about caution ahead, right? We might be observing risk, evaluating risk. If we're going to talk ourselves out of something, we also need to be able to talk ourselves into something and give us the push at the right time. And we have to be able to gauge what that looks like. So absolutely, yes, that is true of the only part of the universe. But challenging our unwanted thoughts is also a very important part of how we go forward in life.
Next question from Christina. How about people who have a lot of ego and call themselves as leaders? They talk nice in social media, but in real life, they are different.
Absolutely. So if you imagine a really congested world with everybody trying to establish themselves as something, you're going to get a lot of noise out there. And that's why I said in one of my earlier slides, allow your actions to speak a lot louder than your words. And humility doesn't come from telling everyone how wonderful you are. Humility comes from listening twice and talking once. That's why we've got these 2 ears and 1 mouth. And strong leaders listen very, very well. They're very in tune to their people. And leaders who call themselves great leaders, well, they're looking for that reinforcement from the universe that they haven't got it yet. They haven't earned it yet. So they tell everyone how wonderful they are. Hopefully in time, they adapt and they get there.
Christina again, what is effective leadership for you?
I didn't hear that. Sorry, Rajat.
What is effective leadership for you?
Effective leadership for me is summed up really easily. I think effective leadership is from, if you take a pyramid, the normal organizational chart has got all the leaders on the top, you know, the big managers, and the next level down is heads of department, and the next level down is department, and then it goes all the way to the team. I believe effective leadership is taking that pyramid and flipping it upside down. And you take the so-called leaders right at the bottom and they push upwards. They guide, they mentor, they coach, they listen, they encourage, they are empathetic, they are really well honed in soft skills. And more importantly, I'll say it again, they put themselves at the bottom and they push upwards. And the leaders make their team feel like they are the most important thing in the world.
Super. I just checked. Christina is from Germany. It's about, I think, 5:30 a.m. Over there. Thank you, Christina, for logging in.
Vielen Dank, Christina. Dankeschön.
Yeah. So Christina is asking more question. Okay. This is the last one, Christina. We will go to another person for more questions. Okay. Thanks. Help me how I can become like that. Meaning, probably she is meaning the effective leader. So she wants to be an effective leader. She wants to understand how she become an effective leader.
That's a great question, Christina. I think so many people struggle with this because they don't understand the definition of effective leadership. And this is a topic that, honestly, I run workshops that last for days on this. So it's not a quick answer. I guess if there were to be a quick answer, focusing on your soft skills is really important. People take it for granted that we know how to listen. We can hear, but do we listen? So soft skills is important. Organizational skills is important. And don't forget, leadership begins within. So to become an effective leader to a team of people, you need to be a really strong leader within yourself. And that means applying discipline, applying focus, listening to your own, opening up an inner dialogue with yourself. Those are really important traits. Happy to connect more with you on this off the forum. I'm just conscious of timings, but that's a great question, but with a very long answer because it's such a widely debated topic.
Thank you so much. There is another question which came from Ragini. From third world country, some people don't really get education. How will you take people? I really don't understand the question. Probably you wanted to ask, like, from third world country, education is not that maybe updated like the first world countries, and how you can take the soft skills or the communication, if that's the question. I think that's what she's looking for.
I'll add this comment. One thing, whether you're in a first world country or a third world country, one thing is the same. We're human beings. We feel, we have feelings. So whether you're first world or third world doesn't matter. As a leader in a third world country, which I've been in a leadership role in third world country, in deepest, darkest Africa, and in first world country, one thing I can say is if you treat people with dignity, if you treat people with kindness, if you treat people with respect, leadership is a byproduct of what happens next. Because that to what Dr. Rainer said, you can't buy respect, you can't buy it, right? You can't go from a first world country into Africa and say, I'm throwing money at this, everyone needs to respect me. You may get some people follow you, but that's not true respect if we're talking about it in that context.
True. Okay, another question, a little bit of different, probably. Maybe they got your profile. What is the basic difference between CEO and a CTO? And I'm not asking from the organization perspective, I'm asking from the leadership perspective.
Okay, well, I think the definition of CTO is a chief technology officer, and a CEO is a chief executive officer. And as a chief executive, you are saying there are a number of executives in my organization, and I'm accountable for to the board of directors or to whoever. I have the highest level of accountability to the owners of the business. If you are an executive looking after human resources or technology or finance, you have a great level of accountability, but not the highest level of accountability. That sits with the CEO in most organizations, right? So if you're a CTO, your area of expertise is technology, and everyone who falls under that technology banner probably reports into you.
Okay, so Dr. Raina is actually giving you congratulations, which I can see. Thank you, Mark, for the amazing takeaways on effective leadership, gratitude, and that's it. We have 4 or 5 different questions, but due to time, constraint, I think we can take it. Well, I'll give you the perspective, the way we are doing World Leaders Summit for last couple of years. The only solo reason, see, we started as a mega summit last year in December 2020, of course. We do monthly business symposiums. We do a lot of different kind of activities like fundraising, pitch taking, and others. What we realized, we don't actually take audience in Zoom. This is you can say, because today's date is more on marketing, this is one of our marketing policy. We ask people to join our social media, ask question over there. Of course, it makes a lot of interactivity. Moreover, if you're doing it in Zoom, it stays in Zoom, recording only goes, but then you can't cross-check who is actually commenting, their profile, their details. I mean, I'm talking from the audience perspective. But in social media, if somebody is commenting, is a real person, it stays. You can get back to them, you can communicate with them back. Okay, that's the format we are following. And we are really blessed and happy that you guys are actually logging from various different time zones, asking so many questions. We are really happy. The speakers are really happy, and they are great human beings. Please feel free to be in touch with them. Connect us back if you need any kind of connection with them. We'll be more than happy to connect them with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark, for the beautiful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please stay with us. Keep yourself mute if you want. Yeah. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me now welcome our next speaker. His name is Akiva. Akiva, if you are here with us, kindly unmute yourself.
I'm here.
Super. Akiva is a great friend. He's a great mentor. He runs an amazing company, willing to give back to the community and doing pretty well. He's logging from Israel, if I'm not wrong at the moment. And am I wrong, or you're from?
Sorry, the audio cut out. What is correct right now?
I'm asking from which country you're logging at the moment.
So I'm logging in from Israel right now.
Right. And it's actually early morning. Thank you so much for coming. So let me not waste a lot of time. Akiva, World Leaders Summit is really happy to have you as one of our speakers. Please enlighten us with your knowledge and wisdom. Over to you.
Great. Well, I can promise some knowledge. I can't promise any wisdom. I just want to thank all of you. And so our company and our operations are based mainly in America, but we are in Israel, and where it is 6:39 in the morning. So wherever you are in the world, thank you very much for joining, and forgive my voice. It's a little bit early. And I want to thank you, Rajat, for inviting me, and all the great people who've spoken and taken part, and especially the staff and organizers at the World Leaders Summit. They've been great throughout the whole process, so thank you. I just want to start by getting a bit personal. I never thought I would speak at a World Leaders Summit, right? It just sounds so important, you know. Look, I was poor. I grew up poor. I was born into a poor family. My dad was a janitor. My mom babysat kids in her home. Coming up, I was taught by our culture that rich people are evil. I don't know how many rich people we have here today, but I was taught that, you know, you all are just not good. You're snobs. You don't have souls like us normal people, like you and us. And that limiting belief, it shaped my life for years. Back when I was like the only jobs I could get back in Canada, I grew up in Canada, the only jobs I can get were janitor, dishwasher, music store clerk, cleaning banks at night. And I'll tell you that it was a bit of a surreal experience, you know, looking over there behind that wall and seeing all that money in the bank vault, or knowing that it was there, just right there. And yet here I was just cleaning their toilets. That was my life, the way that I came up. And it continued beyond when I was a young person, into my early 20s. I for a while, I lived on $1 a day, $1 a day. That was after I paid my bus ticket, my rent was paid. I'd eat the same sandwich and apple every day for lunch. I was left with $1 a day. Now, today I have a company, it's called Creative Capital, and we spend $100,000 a month, US dollars, per client to grow other people's businesses, especially SaaS and coaching businesses. So from $1 a day to $100,000 a month. And it's more than that. We have unlimited capital. I know it sounds strange to say that. We have unlimited capital to do that, unlimited times to help as many companies as possible grow. So let me introduce myself. My name is Akiva Prell, and I'm here to share with you, I think the title of this talk is How to Scale Your Business with Other People's Money. Specifically, our money, and that's the offer. My company, Creative Capital, we spend our money starting at $100,000 US per month to sell your product online, preferably SaaS, software as a service. And we spend that 100 grand each month for at least a year. If you add it up, that's $1.2 million of our money selling your product. And you never have to pay it back. And we take no equity in your company. So right now you're probably thinking one of two things. Number one, what's the catch? And number two, it sounds too good to be true. So we hear both of those. And I'll tell you from my 25 plus years of marketing in business, if the number one objection to your offer is that it sounds too good to be true, you've probably created something pretty good, okay? So, but I didn't create this overnight. So for the, like I said before, it was a long road between making $1 a day and where Creative Capital is today. So first I had to get rid of those limiting beliefs I had about people with money, you know, maybe people like you, or I'd never become a person who had money. I had to overcome that. And yes, I did for a while live on $1 a day, but I invested that $1 wisely. I sought out every self-help book and personal growth course that I could find. And for me, what resonated most was Tony Robbins. I'm not sure, I can't see you raise your hands, but if any of you ever done Tony Robbins, he can really transform your life. And I walked across fire with him on bare feet twice, which is a very transformative experience. If you've ever done that, at the other end, you'll have a visceral personal feeling and understanding, a deep, deep knowledge that you can actually do anything. And then Tony Robbins contributed almost an entire chapter to a book that I wrote on how to overcome limiting beliefs about the rich and powerful. So that helped transform my life. Now, during all that time, I got good at certain things that rich and powerful people value. High-end marketing, communications, video, selling big things and big ideas. And over the years, I applied those skills to the entertainment business, big Hollywood movies, at all the major studios, #1 charting music, concerts, huge entertainment venues, that world. And then I left that world and I went into politics, where I helped more than 300 world leaders on 4 continents really sell big ideas to millions and millions of citizens, did over 300 campaigns, 2 US presidential campaigns, the prime ministers of Israel and Canada and Australia, and even the Dalai Lama. I was doing that and I was doing well and I was making a difference in the world. But I was still making the same mistake that I made back when I was making $1 a day. I was running a great marketing agency and I still do. But back then we were still trading our time for money. I don't know how many of you are still doing that, but you've probably hit a wall and you've probably understood that trading your time for money is not scalable. So several years back, thank God, everything changed. I became partners with a billionaire, and not just a business partner, but a coach, a guide, a good person. And I started to train myself to think more like a billionaire and less like an agency owner who trades time for money. Suddenly we had access to unlimited capital, which means we can solve some of the biggest problems for our clients. Great companies with great products that solve real problems for their customers in a market that's big enough to grow and scale into. But these companies either don't understand marketing, don't have the big bucks to hire an agency like yours, and even if they did, they probably almost certainly don't have $100,000 or more per month to spend on digital ad spends. It just seems strange to some people, some companies, to give 100 grand a month or 200 grand or 500 grand a month to Mark Zuckerberg. Most companies really can't get their heads around that. Now, that is a massive multi-billion-dollar problem. It affects hundreds of thousands of, maybe millions of great businesses around the world. Now, the big marketing agencies, they have even bigger clients like Coca-Cola. Their clients can easily pay top dollar for creative, and their clients don't need our capital, right? Coca-Cola don't need our money to pay for Facebook ads. All the small to mid-size agencies around the world, their clients, great companies, need our help, but the smaller agencies don't have unlimited capital like we do, right, to pay for their clients' Facebook ads. So this is a massive multi-billion-dollar problem for great companies. And if you have a great product or great service, it solves a great problem. You have many eager customers, but you lack the creative tools or the capital to reach your customers, to reach your full potential. That is a massive problem that we solve. So if you run a company like that and you know you can be great, and you started your business because you want to be great, like not just good, but great, our way can help you get from good to great, right? I wanted to be great ever since I was a kid, you know, cleaning bathrooms in a sink. So when I partnered like a billionaire, I started thinking like a billionaire. And to a billionaire, these problems that all these small companies and agencies have, thinking like a billionaire, you can clearly see that these problems can be solved by capital. So I took the creative side of our agency. We're great at creative and the agency stuff. I took the creative and put it together with the unlimited capital. I made it creative capital. So if you want to check it out, I don't know if we give links on screen, but if you see my name, just like type in my name in LinkedIn and then just click around and you'll quickly find how to reach me. Another way is agncgroup.com. agncgroup.com, but just click on my name, Akiva Pearl, on LinkedIn, and you'll quickly find it. So let's focus on SaaS for a second. We also help high ticket coaching with digital downloads and very occasionally great e-commerce products, but let's focus on SaaS. Here's what it could look like from your point of view. Whatever you're going to spend on a marketing agency, like you have to pay a marketing agency even before they make what they're going to make for you. All of that you're going to pay for a marketing agency, we do that for free. Strategy, campaign creation, messaging, targeting, visuals, video, deployment, all of that we created for free. We create your campaign, all your assets, visuals, videos, everything, right? We risk our time, our team, our money up front, not to mention the opportunity cost because we've chosen to go with your company instead of another company. And we spend a month or two of our time with your company instead of another. And we risk all that time and money up front. And that's a risk we take only when we believe in our hearts that we can make a campaign that can sell on scale your product to new heights, right? And once that's done, once we create that campaign for free to you, we then put our money where our hearts are. We really put our hearts into you and where our experience tells us to go. So we spend our money, starting at $100,000 a month on your digital ad spends to sell your product. So the big question is, how do we get paid? We only get paid if it works. And that's our reward. That's the risk we take. If it fails, it's a total loss for our company. It's a loss of time, significant money out of our pockets. We pay money to do this. And also the opportunity cost, which is probably the biggest cost. Actually, time is the biggest cost. Now, if it succeeds, we get paid from an aggressive revenue share, only out of the revenue that we bring in. So what's aggressive? You might be thinking 20%, 30%. This is you thinking like the old affiliate model. This is not what this is, right? 20%, 30%, 40, 50, oh my gosh, 50%. No, we take 100%, 100% of everything we bring in for SaaS, but for a limited time. Okay, it's scoped for 6 to 12 months, depending on the cost that your customers pay for your product every month. If you're in SaaS, you're the only one who's not hyperventilating right now, because you know the model of SaaS is you run the credit card every month. And if what you're doing with us is a limited time engagement, at some point, 6 to 12 months, depending on the cost of your item, we hand that customer back to you and they're yours forever. And you didn't have to pay a dime to acquire that customer, right? And then at the same time, in parallel, you're free to do whatever other customer acquisition you want. Run your own ads, bring in your own customers, and keep 100% of that. Everything that we're doing is over here. It's additive. It's all upside. It's all in addition to whatever you were doing. So it's all bonus to you. And if you have a good SaaS product with a low churn rate, meaning you keep your customers for longer than 6, 7, 12 months or longer, like some of our companies, here's what creative capital looks like for you. Whatever you're going to spend on an agency, 100 grand, 200 grand, free. Your monthly ads brand spends are free. Your customer acquisition costs, at least through us, are free. They're offloaded onto us. You can spend that money on other things like product development or a new office. Plus, you get the benefit of our capital, giving you $100,000 a month of brand lift and brand awareness. This is something that agencies actually charge for. Let's get your name out there. That happens as a natural byproduct of us spending $100,000 a month of our money on ads with your name and your logo on it. You get that every month for free, 100 grand or 200 grand or whatever the market will bear. We go all the way up. 100 grand is the basement for us. You get that brand awareness campaign for free. But the real benefit, if you're a SaaS company, and you know this, especially if you ever want to do an exit or go public, the real value of your SaaS company is how many users you have. So you were going to do whatever you were going to do. You're going to launch however you're going to launch. You're going to pay every step of the way. And you can continue to do that. And at the end of 12 months, you had planned in your business plan to have this many users. You can also do this with us, and at no cost to you, you can end the year with an extra 100,000 users. And the actual benefit of this is if you're a SaaS company, we increase the value of your company itself by increasing your user base with our capital. So it's all upside for you. I'm not sure how much time I've got left, but I've only got a couple minutes and then I'm happy to take questions. So we have criteria, right? First, we have to fall in love with your company in some way. Again, SaaS companies preferred. That's where we're going all in. High ticket coaching, digital download, and then also really, really great e-commerce companies that have a very low cost of goods sold, as you can imagine. But let's just focus on SaaS. We have to fall in love with your company. That's one of our first criteria, because we commit so much of our time and our team's time and our passion, our best ideas, our best work. We actually spend a significant amount of money to do this for you, to make and produce your ads. There's the opportunity cost of going with you instead of another company and spending a month or two of our time downloading everything about your company, really becoming at one with your offer and your culture and your hopes and your dreams for your company. That's a deep relationship. That's a big commitment. And then we have to spend just as much time or more downloading everything about your customers and oftentimes understanding your customers in the market better than many founders do. You know, they're great at making a great product, but they don't always understand the market, especially if you're dealing with, if you created your amazing product somewhere in the world besides America, and you want to grow into America, which is our primary base of operations, we often have to understand your customers in the market better than you. And once we've done all that, and we've done that mind meld with you and your company and your customers, we dig deep into our 25 years of experience in marketing, and we create a campaign that, you know, captures what you're about and understands what your customer needs in a creative way, an interesting way, a different way. And it brings you and your customers together with that creativity that we build for you, and we build it all for free, including all the assets. And that's a deep relationship. That's a big risk for us. And it's a long-term relationship where we invest a lot up front, where we have to have that run for at least a year to make our investment back. And like every good relationship, it has to be a good fit on a lot of levels, right? Not every company is a good fit, right? We have a criteria. You can check them out, click around. There's a contact form, and then we'll send you a questionnaire. But just check it out. All the information is on the site, and you'll be able to see for yourself. Find me on LinkedIn, Akiva Prell. And if you think you're a good fit, and if you solve a big problem for a big market, again, I just want to restate this. We have 100,000. We have to spend, for this model to work, we have to spend at least $100,000 a month for 12 months selling your product. So the market has to be big enough to grow into. You can't be so niche, that, you just do the math. If we spend $100,000 a month and we had like a 2.5 return on advertising spend, and your product costs $100 a month, just do the math and see how many new customers we have to on board for you per month. We can't spend all the time and investment up front to make this happen, only to have you run out of customers in 6 months. Also, we can't have you break down in 6 months. So one of the things that we look for is your internal systems. In an e-commerce company, there's a lot more that could break down. Your shipping, your returns, your customer service, your terms with your suppliers. What if there's a worldwide shipping crisis? What if a ship gets stuck in the Suez Canal? E-commerce has a lot more ways for it to go wrong. On SaaS and digital coaching products, if we were to scale you, if you're used to onboarding 100 or 500 customers a month, and we suddenly bring you to 5,000 customers a month or 2,000 or whatever, the only real pain points for you are customer onboarding and customer service. So we'll look internally to your company and see how you're going to manage that growth and how we can work together so that you don't break down. Our goal is to not break anybody down. We want to have a long-term relationship, a long-term profitable relationship. So if your internal systems are solid and if you can scale quickly, keep up with all those customers, then I want to meet you and help your company grow. I'm not sure who's watching this beyond this particular meeting here, but just drop me a line on LinkedIn, Akiva Prell, or go to agnCgroup.com. And I look forward to meeting you. And if we have any time to answering questions. And thank you, Rajat, and to everybody at the World Leader Summit. This has been an honor. I thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. So the format, I'm just repeating once again, the format that we are following for World Leader Summit is the speaker is actually joining in this link. We're not taking any audience over here. It's only speaker only link. And we are taking questions from social media. I'm really, really happy that you guys are supporting us and commenting in our social media. This is how I think Akiva is the best guy. He can say and tell that it's not about the number of likes your page has got, rather the kind of engagement that your page is getting, so that you can generate leads or probably go for a different layer of business. Talking about the same, we have got 3 questions for you, Akiva. First one is asked by, okay, how do you help startups? The exact line in English was, nice business model, but does it help startups?
Right. So startups, yes. So if it was a e-commerce product, the answer would be no. There's just too many systems that need to be worked out, right? Especially when it comes to shipping and inventory levels and terms with your suppliers. So if it is an e-commerce company, the answer is no. For SaaS, the answer is yes. So we would work with startups, and we do. What it does is it increases the risk profile for us, and we just have to work that in. So our job is to measure, monetize, and account for risk, and come forward with a plan that goes forward. Here's one of the extra risk points that arises for a startup. If you're pre-launch, well, literally everything about running your business and every business assumption that you're making is now unknown. So if there can be any real life business intelligence, if there can be any beta testing, if there can be any activity that you can do that would produce some kind of data that indicates whether the audience wants or needs your offer, then that would be much better, right? Obviously, it's much better for us to deal with the SaaS company that's been around for a year or 2 or 3 that can tell us, okay, customers on average, churn rate, stay with us for 2 to 5 years. Great. That's an amazing data point. That tells us churn rate. That also tells us whether your product is good or not. If you make something that's really flashy and looks amazing, but the experience of using your SaaS is so glitchy or wonky or just not good, that you lose your customers that you spend all this time acquiring, you lose them after a month or two, that's something we really want to know. That indicates how good your product is. That's something you cannot know pre-launch. So it's a giant risk. It's a big risk. So what we would do is we would do everything we can together with you to do those sort of soft launch tests of the market. And we'd really have to try to understand that churn rate as much as possible. But at the end of the day, if it is a startup, we have to fall even more deeply in love with your offer. And because we're going to have to take an even bigger risk that this product is going to work over time. And also your systems, right? We will have to test your systems, but we won't really know what you can handle as far as growth. So it's a higher risk, but we're not afraid of risk. We just monetize it and quantify it.
Beautiful. We have another question, and Navneet is asking, so you need a unique market for your target. Probably the question is, so you need a unique company for your target market. How do they qualify?
Thank you for the question. We do not need a unique company. Okay. So unique, new, different, cool. New is actually a problem from a marketing perspective. So when you're so unique that no one's ever done what you're doing before, you've created a marketing and communications problem. I have created a unique marketing and communications problem for Creative Capital. It is so unique that most people, either on the agency side or the finance side, can't get their heads around it. There's no frame of reference for it. So that's why, Rajat, I really appreciate this long form communication. There's other ways that we have so much deal flow coming in. It's fine. Everything's great. But we knew that there would be a problem in communicating this offer. Why? Because it's so unique. When you're so unique, it's a communications problem because everyone you're speaking to doesn't have a frame of reference for what you're talking about. So if you have a unique product that's super unique, we might even take a pass. Unique also means that if you've reached the year 2021 and no other human being or company has ever done what you're doing, it probably means that the market is not crying out for it, right? If you have found a market that is very big, remember, the market's got to be big enough to grow into at large spends for a year. Show me that you want to enter a space that's very well established, that has millions and tens of millions of customers, and that has maybe one or two dominant market players that have succeeded and made this much money over this much time, but you've created a solution that's unique in maybe one way. Maybe it does this, solves this one little problem that giant doesn't. Maybe you do what they do, but a little cheaper. So I like a unique solution within a market and an offering that's not entirely unique.
Super answer, beautiful answer. Thank you, Akiva, for coming here and sharing all the insights. It was really, really helpful. Guys who are looking for such kind of support and you feel that you qualify and you want to get in touch, kindly be in touch with Akiva. Else, if you want us to help you to connect with their company, feel free to write to us. There is an email ID which is mentioned into our website. I know that you guys are subscribing and you are getting all the automated message. So in the message itself, you can see the number of speakers who are actually speaking. You can always Google them. You can always get in touch with them. Even though if you're looking for direct communication, write to us. We'll be more than happy to connect with Akiva for any kind of business lead. Thank you so much, Akiva. And just to make an apology in front of everyone, I'm a totally, open kind of person. We translated the timeline into GMT. We didn't realize this time because we did that in May. We forgot that in October, GMT works in a different way. It actually gives a gap of 1 hour. And that's the reason we have to call you probably 1 hour earlier from your time zone. Really apologize for the same. But
it's okay.
I'm glad that, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Akiva. Please stay in touch. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is the time that we should call upon. Okay, thank you. Akiva will be present. Yes, you can always Google him. You can always connect back with us. I can see that there is a comment that just came. but yes, you can have his credential and details. We'll be more than happy to share that with you. Talking about the same, we have another great speaker. He is from Russia, and I love snow. If you know me in person, I really love snow. Well, Privyat Pavel, welcome to you, World Leaders Summit 2021.
Hi, Arijit. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for invitation. It's great honor to be at World Leaders Summit as a speaker and expert. And today I'm going to share with you some of my life's principles that help me achieve more results in different aspects of life. And today my topic is mindset and habits of successful leaders. I've been studying this subject for more than 16 years, and a lot of tools, a lot of principles. I'm going to share with you some of them. Absolutely, we have just 20 minutes. And I'm Pavel Verbniak. I'm a life and success strategies vice president of JCI Russia, author, corporate trainer, coach, and they are my contact information. So if you'll have some questions or ideas to share, please send me the message via email or through personal cell phone number, WhatsApp, and Telegram, and so on. And that's my clients. I work with some corporate clients, big organizations in Russia and international ones. Probably some of them you recognize. And also I'm an author of several books on personal development, on how to set and achieve goals, how to unlock our personal and professional potential. I'm a marathon runner and radio host, where I interview successful people, Olympic champions, entrepreneurs from Forbes, millionaires as well, scientists, and so on. And success is predictable, it's not an accident. And today I'm going to share with you some ideas that can help you to achieve more results in your personal and professional lives. And please write down your ideas and thoughts on paper, because most of successful people I work with, and I use that as myself, think on paper. So please have a pen and paper and write down your thoughts and ideas, how you're going to apply this information, because knowledge is power, but knowledge is just potential power. Without action, you don't have any results. So, and 16 years ago, I started to ask myself a question: what's the difference between successful people and others? Why are some people successful and others fail? And you can see that log, and you can have numbers, and everyone have different kind of numbers, different kind of things that you're going to use to unlock your own log, your own success. And it's very important to know exactly what does success mean to you, because when I provide some workshops and seminars, webinars, I ask question, how many people would love to succeed? And almost everyone raised their hand. But when I ask another question, what does success mean to you? Most of them doesn't know what to write down. So please, dear friends, please write down the definition of your own success. I'll give you 10 seconds. Probably you have your own Arijit, right?
Yeah. I have my own, of course.
Yes.
Well, success for me is, if you really want to listen to that,
right.
My ideology is success for me if I'm giving happiness to others. If somebody is smiling because of my act, it can be anything, probably giving $5 to a person so that he can maybe buy some food. But I'm against of a policy of giving free food or free money, free anything to anyone. That actually kills backbone of a personality. So success for me, if you ask me, that's basically giving happiness, giving smile.
Yes, Arijit, thank you very much. And for example, we are more than 100, 1,000 people here, and everyone have different kind of definition of success. So some of them think about money, financial success, family relationships, hobbies, health, and you will be correct. Everyone is correct. There is no true or untruth. So it's great that everything you wrote down, it's good. And for me, success is achieving balance in my own life in different kind of aspects. It's very important for me to be healthy and have great energy, relationships, financial freedom, traveling, and so on. And I like this definition of success. Success is the ability of life to live life as wanted, doing what brings you the most pleasure, surrounded by people you respect and admire. You can take picture, and I like this very, very much. And we're going to think about this definition more and more during our conversation. But you can take a picture and use this definition if you like this in your own life. And it's very important for successful leaders to have 100% responsibility for your own life. It doesn't really matter where you're coming from. It's very important what kind of vision, what kind of goals you have, where you're going. And responsibility, it's about your responsibility. So situation plus your response equals outcome. So we cannot change whether the political issues or some challenges in your country or city, but we can change our reaction to that. And that's number one thing that defines a leader, successful leaders, as you all have in yourself, because you study, you develop yourself, you attend World Leaders Summit because you're a leader. It's very great. And mindset and habits, it's very important as well. I'm an owner of a successful mindset project. And mindset, we become what we think about most of the time. And Aristotle said that, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Leo Tolstoy said about the same. And successful people, successful leaders think 80% of their time, if you remember 80-20 rule, Pareto principles, 80% you should think about what you want and how to get this, how to become more successful in finances or relationship, how to create your product or service. So think about what you want and how to get this, because we become what we think about most of the time. If you think about financial success, you'll become a little bit more successful. If you think about how to become better sportsman or entrepreneur, you will attract situations, people, circumstances that are in harmony with your dominant thoughts, because thoughts are the reason and everyone is affected. And it's very important also to have clear vision what you want. And Thomas Carlyle said very, very nicely, a person with a clear goal will advance even on the most difficult road. A person without any goal will not advance along the smoothest road. So how many people have clear, specific goals? Please raise the hands or write down the message here below. And the goal without writing form, if you don't put that on the paper, it's not a goal. And I'm going to share with you some of these principles. So write down 3 the most important goals for the next year. It could be financial goal, entrepreneurship goal, relationships, health goal. Please write it down. Pen and paper. Don't think too much. On subconscious level, you know exactly what you want. So write down. And choose just one goal from these 3 goals. That is very important. That's the most important one. And write this one goal on different paper. And probably you've heard about the SMART goals. Yeah, I see Rajat smiling. So it's very important to have specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely bounded goals. So I'm going to share with you a little bit different principles on goal setting. So for me, the most important part in goal setting is it should be powerful and inspirational. You should have this fire inside, the passion about goal, the wish, the dream to achieve that goal. And also, there are different things that you should think about to set and achieve goals to become a more successful leader, more successful parent and entrepreneur. First one, desire. You should have a desire that you want to achieve these goals. You want to create the company. You want to become financial free and invest $1 million, for example, or buy a house for your parents or something. Desire. Second one is belief. Believe that your goal is achievable. It's very important to have on subconscious level. On conscious level, you want to achieve that, but on subconscious level, there are a lot of sabotage and limitations. And I work with limiting beliefs and fears with my clients, coaching clients and corporate clients. And it's very important step. Step number one, believe that your goal is achievable. Step number 3, my friends, write it down. Goal without writing, if you don't write it, it's not a goal, as I said you before. And I write down my goals on a regular basis every single day. I reprogram my subconscious mind to achieve that goal. I attract people, circumstances that are in harmony with my goals. Number 4, benefits. Make a list of benefits. Determine why you want it. What kind of benefits you're going to have when you achieve that goal. So write it down. It's very important for our mind to explain why I should spend my energy. So it's very important to have these benefits. For example, when I started to study my English, I didn't know why I need that. But when I decided to go to students exchange program in the US, wow, I had this desire. I started to study my English every single day. And I provide workshops, consultations in English. That's how it works. Step number 5, dear friends, set a deadline. For example, you're going to achieve this goal by 1st January 2023 or 1st March 2024. It's very important to have specific date, specific day and time. For example, by 1st January 2023 Pacific time, like 12 noon, and it's very important. Next step is step number 6. Identify possible obstacles. What holding you back? It could be you don't have a team, you don't have knowledges and skills, you have a limiting beliefs and fears. What holding you back to achieve that goal? Write it down. I'm a little bit accelerating, I'm a little bit speed up my workshop because we have just limited amount of time, but it's very important to write these steps down, dear friends. Step number 7, write down knowledges, skills, and abilities that you need to accumulate and develop in yourself to achieve that goal. What kind of person you should become to achieve that goals. And it's great. It's so wonderful. It could be delegation skill, time management skill, presentation skill, and so on. Write it down to achieve your own personal goal faster and easier. Step number 8, make a list of people and organizations that are going to help you to achieve that goal, because somebody already achieved that goal. Somebody already know how to achieve that goal. There are a lot of information, books, internet, YouTube videos on this subject. So write down, make a list of people and organizations that are going to help you to achieve that goal. And ask what you want. You don't have, no, it's already in your pocket. You don't lose anything if you ask. Ask people for recommendation, ask for help, ask for ideas. Write down in Facebook or LinkedIn to person. Ask for mentorship, ask for become a client, ask for become a wife or husband. Because it's a lot of people, when I work with clients, have this subconscious fear of rejection, fear of new, fear of failure, fear of success, and we can eliminate these fears. Next step, action plan. Make an action plan that what kind of steps you're going to have during first couple of weeks to achieve that goal faster and easier. Maybe buy a book, maybe create a mastermind, maybe brainstorm with your idea. Step number 10, visualize your success. Visualize your goal already achieved. So it's very important. Our mind doesn't see the difference. It's real or it's just images in your head. So visualize, use meditation. I use it every single day. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I invest my first couple of hours in myself. Meditation exercises, affirmations, learning. So I take this morning meal. So it's very important to visualize your success. And step number 11 is small steps every single day. Do something every single day to get closer to your goal. So it's very important. Action. As I said before, knowledge is just potential power. Without actions, you don't see any results. And you will attract as this magnet in your life, people, circumstances that are going to help you to achieve that goal. You will see that your life is getting so wonderful, so better, so more abundant when you do something every single day to become better as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a husband, and so on. And as I said before, success is predictable. It's not an accident. If you take action, if you develop yourself, if you study successful people, your mind will change, your transformational insight will change, and because of inner transformation, you will have outer transformation. Your life will become better. And also, we discussed today with you, we created clear vision. We took 100% responsibility for our life. And I believe that number one habit that can guarantee you to achieve any success, any goal you set for yourself, is constant and never-ending improvement. That's a habit that unites all successful leaders all over the world. And there are major, absolutely, you can take a picture of this. And the best way to predict the future is to create it. Create on paper, write down your ideal life, write down your specific clear goals, and you will achieve great results. So, dear friends, that's my contact information. I provide also coaching programs and seminars, trainings for employees, for leaders. If you'll need any help, I would love to ask any reply to any questions and help you. Thank you very much, Rajat. Maybe someone have questions I would love to answer. Thank you.
So I'll request you to stop sharing your screen so that we can have your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have two questions. Before that, I'll be taking one picture of yours. 1, 2, 3. Please look at the camera. 3. Super. Okay. So the first question for you, asking by someone from Nigeria, please define thoughts. How do you define goal of a person? 2 questions.
Repeat it again, please, Rajat.
Please define what you mean by thought. And second question is, how will you define goal of a person?
Goal of a person. Thought, right? Thought and goal. Yeah, goal. It's number one thing you should think about, because thoughts, it's a reason, as I said before. And as I said before, we become what we think about most of the time. And you can change your thoughts, you can change your results when you feed your mind, when you feed yourself with nice, positive, great information that help you to achieve great results. Because of that, your mindset will change and you will have different decision, you will have different results. And goal is, it should be in writing form, as I said before. I provided you 11 steps to achieve any goals. You can achieve financial goals, you can achieve relationships goals or health goals. Just think on paper every single morning. Just write down 10 major goals for yourself. You will reprogram your subconscious mind. You will become more positive. You will become more result-oriented person. And that's the key of highly effective people and successful people. Habits. You can create your own habits. Optimism, it's a habit. Entrepreneurship mindset is a habit. So thoughts and goals for me, it's number one thing you should develop and have great results.
Super. Thank you so much for all the insights and sharing. We get 2 more questions, but I guess I'll be keeping it to your email because time is short and we are actually in the end of today's discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pavel. And please be in touch. This is not the end. I'll tell you, we have a complete ecosystem. We work very deeply and directly with the people who are coming here and sharing their insights and their knowledge and their courage and of course their business. Please feel free to get back to us after 10th of November. We have an amazing 35,000 community of business leaders and entrepreneurs. We'll be more than happy to have you on board. If you don't know, we have our new business acceleration program. We call it as Co-Innovate Ventures, which we have launched. We'll be more than happy to have you on board if you want to add any kind of value to our startup ecosystem. So please be in touch and stay tuned and keep blessing us, keep loving us. We'll see you at 4 o'clock today Indian time, starting with a UK-based speaker. So please watch us live in Facebook. Keep commenting, keep loving, and keep asking. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.